Hello, and welcome to Baelnorn and Friends. Today we have someone that has never been on the show. In fact, doesn't even play the game that I normally talk about, Amtgard. We have our first Belegarth player on today, and that's Dwarf. How long,
Hey
how,
everybody.
how long have you been in the foam fighting sport?
So I've been playing Belegarth for about 2 years and some change now. I started post COVID when our realm opener in April 2022. Um, Hit the deck plates running from there. Loved the sport ever since. So I've been a fond face in the community and been loving just being here.
And the wild thing is, I think was it your first year or was it your second year, or that you ran the event that we're going to be talking about? The
Yeah, so I ran that event, I think, about a year and a half then after I had started the sport.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I think I don't know if that's normal in Belegarth, but in Amtgard, it's you don't usually run such a big event so early in how long you've been around. It happens, but yeah, that's pretty big, and it was a successful one, if I might say. I enjoyed it. I was able to go to it. We'll actually have a blog. We'll talk or have that in a few minutes, but we will be talking about events and event planning, event volunteering, anything event related. Um, so yeah, this is interactive. If you're in chat, you can bring up questions or do a smart ass comment if you really want to. Keep it PG-13, people. But yeah, chat is encouraged to be involved. So we're gonna. We also have two other people that may be coming. Critius, returning mini episode return guests, will be running late, but they will be here. They had a previous engagement come up that they forgot about. And then there was Runebeard, who something also came up. So hopefully they'll be able to join us. They'll just randomly come in if they do, in fact, join us. Oh, someone says you're on TV.
Yeah, no, I'm. Hey, Maddie. Good to see you. Thank you for joining the stream and supporting.
So, what I would like to do first, this is going to be different than any one we've ever done because I have a premiere video, a vlog of my experience at the first Trials of Pacific Maine, which we're wanting to get into and see if we can kind of get those other people to come in while we're watching the video. But why don't you tell us a little bit about how the event came around, how you came to running the event?
Yeah, so Trials of the Pacific Maine really came from, I guess, gosh, it's a long story, right? Because it's a very short my journey, but a lot of it was going from event to event and seeing how other people ran things, how other cultures kind of existed, and how it jived with the overarching community in Belegarth. And I think what became really important to me was seeing that this culture exists. This culture is amazing. Idaho culture, Southern California culture, all these other places that I had been to. I think I went to 10 events the year of 2023. Um, and it was just time after time I was kind of like mentally taking notes and just being like, wow, I love the people. I wish they would be here in our neck of the woods and share their fantastic energy and their fantastic culture with Washington, which honestly at the time when I was rejoining or when I was joining, and they're kind of like, also coming out of the woodwork and coming out of like, post COVID times, they were kind of like, I guess insular is the word, where, a lot of people weren't doing a whole lot of things exterior to Washington or the very few events that they were going to. And I mean, honestly, like who can go to more than like two events a year sometimes? I'm very privileged in the fact that I was able to hit like 10. I think that's an actual legitimate number. Um,
That's quite a
so
few.
yeah, it's quite a bit. I was very fortunate. But like I said, I want to take that energy that I had towards the sport and apply it, as much as I could to Washington and doing something and enriching our community. And that's how Trials was basically founded. And to say it was a huge success. I got so much support from my friends, like far and wide and like local. There was 93 total participants for at trials. So as a first event, that was huge.
Yeah, I mean, people came as far as from Montana. Was that the furthest?
Montana, Idaho. I think Redding, California might have been the furthest.
It's a pretty big area that you pulled from.
Yeah, no, I say that all the time. I'm super smitten about it, where we basically had all the adjoining states plus Northern California came to trials of the Pacific Maine and supported. So that was huge.
Yeah. So how do you think your first year went?
You know,
obviously it's a success, but
you know, I'm told it was an absolute success. But gosh, man, Baelnorn, I was so nervous. I was like, man, is anybody going to come back after this? How was the public reception? But as time went by after this event, I just kept hearing it come back to me all the time. Like, wow, that was such a great event. That was like all these accolades and all this public reception. And I was like, wow, okay, I guess we did pretty good. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I'm just really smitten about it, and I'm like, wow, how did that happen? I don't know. It just kind of did. We just kind of did amazing, and we killed it. And I'm really proud of my team last year. Really proud of my team this year, because we're moving forward with some really great progression, and we had some really great traction from last year. And I really owe a lot of success to a lot of different people, and for people just who traveled in and came and took part in it, because I think that's huge for this year, because I think all the rumbling that's going around, that's huge in my traction for this year.
Yeah, I really want to ask you this, but it'll be a long discussion, so we're going to table it until after the video. What lessons did you learn from the event? So you can probably think about that a little bit. I guess we could do the video. This is my take from going to the event. I won't be able to read chat because of how my setup is during the video stream, but I'll look at chat after that. Talk away. Dwarf can read chat while it's going on, though. If you guys have commentary, we can talk over the video, and that is fine. So let me get that pulled up here. Actually, maybe I will be able to read chat. I will be able to read chat.
Yes.
Okay. It's
chat
about
access.
It's about 8 minutes long, and tomorrow morning I will have it go live if you guys want to watch it again for whatever reason.
I'm gonna favorite it. I'm gonna love it forever.
Hello, Baelnorn here. Today I'm at Kitsap Memorial Park in Washington State. Oh, one other thing. If the sound is too low, let me know, because I'm not... Sound mixing is weird when you're streaming sometimes. All right, I'll push play again. We are at a Belegarth event called Trials of the Pacific Maine. It is the first time this event has ever been ran. And it has been ran and organized by... I
think that's Luna in the background.
A member called Dwarf. I'm here with Gustav in DeVry. We rented an Airbnb because the group site actually filled up, and so there was no camping available. And then the campsite actually filled up outside of the group site, so we couldn't even get one of the yurts or the cabins. So Airbnb, but we're only 10 minutes from site, so it's very nice. There's a lot planned. There's tournaments. There's going to be a whole bunch of field fighting. Journey with me in the realm of LARP. Thursday was full of line fighting, a fun start to what turned out to be a pretty fun weekend. After paying a troll, also called Gate in Amtgard, I happened to meet Dwarf, the player running the event. He is a very affable character, and I wished him the best for this event. Later that night, there was a Sunset Beat social at the Bayshore. What I assumed was intended to be just a social gathering to visit and drink quickly turned into a battlefield, and I couldn't have been happier. The area was a bit tight, and fighting on the Pebble Beach is no joke, but people made it work and had fun in the process. Later that night, Gustav and I went to the main camp and watched the opening ceremonies, before driving back to the rental to get some sleep. On Friday, there were a lot of tournaments. One thing I hadn't seen before was how they did the lines for the fighting pits. For each pit, they had a line of people, much like a standard bear pit, but rather than the first two in each line fighting, the one on each end of the line fought, continuing that till the line was gone and only one winner remained. Gustav and I took a break from the field and headed up to the main camp. There were a series of arts and science classes being run throughout the event. The particular one that caught Gustav in my eye was War Braids and Favors, History and How to Make Them, taught by Naga. The subject matter sounded very interesting. I learned a lot about the lore and role of players who play monsters at Belegarth. It's almost like a counterculture of its own. It was fascinating, and the tradition of taking ripped-up strands of fabric and braiding them into a favor to remember the event is one I hope to continue. So I spend most of my time down at the fighting field, but I want to come up to the camping area because this is where people hang out at night. And there is classes, which I've already gotten into. This is where we did the class. Over here, there's a quest board, which we'll go check out here in a minute. But yeah, this fits 50 people, I think. It's a pretty nice site. Quiet area. You can hear the road a little bit, but that's fine. But yeah, opening ceremonies was right here last night at the fire pit. Right there. So up in the main camping area, they have something that I've never heard of in Belegarth, a quest board. So yeah, Dwarf has put up some quests here. Let's see, there's a trial of friendship. Basically, find a fighter, meet him, and you get some gold. There's even a riddle. How you talking
I'm
about
not going to
that
read the riddle,
more,
but I'll zoom in really close so you can read it if you want. There you go. Then there's a monster thing going on where you go find monster cards, and then you find the monster, and then you battle it out, and you get gold. And there's even a Highlander tournament. Something that we haven't done in Amtgard in the Northwest in a while. But basically, you're immortal. If you lose all your limbs, then you get your head cut off, and then the winner of that takes the ribbon of the loser. And at the end of the event, all the people that still have ribbons fight it out until there's only one left. Yeah, there is questing at Belegarth, in case you were wondering. It's the thing at the right place. Later that afternoon, there was another unique tournament that they did. The Warriors of the Path, a single blue endurance tournament. It lasted for 45 minutes. For those of you from Amtgard, a blue weapon is about the length of an Amtgard short sword. For this tournament, everyone lined up in one big line. Everyone in the line fights the person next to them, starting with the two people in front. The winner of each fight advances in the line, finding the loser of the two people who fought in front of them. This continues for 45 minutes with people moving up and down the line. In theory, it has the effect of the players end up ranking themselves first to last by the place in line at the end of the tournament. I was impressed. Scory, a friend of mine from Amtgard, ended up in the number one spot for a good amount of time. On Saturday, there was the friendship tournament. It was teams of two fighting it out for supremacy. I think it was the team of Dwarf and Scory who came out on top. If I'm wrong, I'm at least sure that they made it into the last round. I would say that the crowning activity for Saturday was the realm battles. Each one of the parks, otherwise known as realms, who had members there, made up each side. There were several groups there, one as far away as Montana. As the teams were forming, everyone stopped to give a cheer to Dwarf. People really appreciated the hard work he had been doing. They really like Dwarf. And Rono was also being cheered for.
Then after pacts were made and agreements signed between the realms, three main teams emerged to fight in the Battle of the Realms. The first round was a fairly standard affair. The two main teams clashed in the middle, and those who survived fought the smaller third team. The second round was more interesting. The team on the left did this cool maneuver where they broke off, circled the oddball team, and tried to flank the team on the right. It looked pretty cool. The third was pretty similar to the first round, but rather than wait to engage the third team, a few elite fighters from the team on the left broke off and engaged them. They survived through the whole fight, keeping them engaged until the main force could back them up. That was Trials of the Pacific Maine. I had a really fun time. I'm in here doing the outro in my Airbnb that we got because the site filled up too fast and we didn't get a chance to actually stay on the site because it filled up. That's amazing. It's a first time event. Full, and I'm glad that it seemed that it went so well. Sadly, I didn't get a chance to talk to Dwarf on camera because the one chance I thought that I could arrange it and that I would have the ability to do it, he was down there at the field getting ready to play in the big battle. It was the first time I actually got to see him participate in the game in some way other than running it. So I decided that my video wasn't as important as him having some fun at his event. So I just decided not to do it. He did come and talk to me several times throughout the event, though, and made me feel very welcome. And he asked me some feedback for the event, and I gave it to him, and I didn't have anything very negative to say or any critiques of the negative variety. It was a good event, and it was ran pretty well. I gave some suggestions to help him run a little bit more smoothly next time. I also offered to have a conversation with him about event running after the event if he wanted to message me, because, well, I like helping people, and if you were not aware, I have ran a couple events in my time, and I like to share the knowledge. So hopefully they will have the time to take me up on that offer, because I'd love to talk shop with another event runner. And hopefully they will be able to run it again next year, and it'll just be bigger and better, and it'll just grow over the years. It's great to have another Belegarth event in the Oregon and Washington area, because I think the only one that exists in the Oregon and Washington area is Western Wars in May. So this is like kind of like the season closer, I think was the intention. So yeah, if you enjoyed the content, please like the video. It means a lot to me. And if you have anything you'd like to say, if you're at the event, what did you think about it? Comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts were. Also consider subscribing to my channel if you'd like to see more LARP content. I mostly do foam fighting videos if you didn't notice, but I also do these vlogs and I do some informational LARP content. So yeah, please subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support me on Patreon, I do have a link in the description below. That was it. I gotta turn it off somehow.
It's amazing. That was so good.
There. Oh, well, thank you. Did I get anything wrong? The story behind it is I ended up not working on it for such a long time that for the voiceover I had to dig deep in my memory to remember as many details as I could. So I was a little bit short on some details that I would rather have been more elaborate on. But yeah, did I?
I think that was such an accurate retelling. Like, honestly, okay. I could not pick out a single thing that I was like, oh yeah, no, that's not right. Like, no, no, right. That was yeah, that was definitely all very accurate, and that was a really good. You know, like I said, I'm going to keep that forever. That's literally going on my, like, I have a wall of affirmations over here, and that's, I don't know how I can put a video on a wall over there, but it's going to be there. Something about it's going to be there. And I just got to remember to check back to that video, because yeah, that was good. That was so good.
I was actually looking at over the schedule, because you can still find it on the past event page. And, there really were a lot of tournaments on, I think it was Friday that I just didn't get. I think, was there a bow tournament too?
Yes, there was. There was a pillar style archery tournament. So that's like two players with bows. Stand on shields or just stand in a platform. I think we roped it off at the time. And they were just firing shots at each other, or taking turns, I think, firing shots at each other. Is that how that works? No, I think they just, oh yeah, no, they start like with their arms apart, and then it's like a quick draw, whoever can then hit the person first. Yeah, that's how that works. So that was, pretty sure Rashib took that tournament. But yeah, no, that was a tournament that I wanted to make sure I run, because archery, other than sword and board, archery is like one of my other like primary styles in the sport.
Nice. So, we'll go back to the question that I had before we started. What were some of the lessons you learned running that event?
Oh my gosh. All right. So I think you even mentioned one of them was that what a problem to have. We sold out the first year. So that was hugely flattering, hugely booming success, obviously. Like, just could not get over that. But yeah, I had to sit on top of the pre-reg about every day just to make sure we weren't like getting too close to our edge, because like you said, that group site could only accommodate 56 on paper, 56 people. And we kind of ended up going a little bit beyond that. That's all I'll say on that.
I won't tell anyone.
Yeah, so there were actually people who, because actually, very unpopular style, and just won because of the sheer amount of popularity we had. I actually just had to be like, hey, if you're not on this pre-reg list, you're not coming. Usually pre-reg is a very optional thing. You just get a little discount and a boon. Yeah, I wasn't having none of that. I was like, no, no shit, we have 56 sites or spots to be able to utilize, and I'm not getting in any fights with the Rangers, and I'm not going to be running the risk of not being invited back next year. So everybody figure it out. But I was really accommodating. Obviously, the pre-reg was very a good process where at least if people were having problems, I would help them. I'd be 16/7 tech support for for trials every day. It was pretty fun. But so going back to the capacity issues, right? Yeah, so that is something I definitely learned the hard way. Like, hey, yeah, no, you are going to have the demand, so you better have the inventory to provide next year. So to mitigate that, this year we got not only the group site, but we got all, or at least 75%, I think, of the campgrounds that are actually on the park. So just individual sites are now at our disposal this year, and they're also filling up pretty damn quick, I gotta say. Most people thought at least the closer camping was very popular so far, and we're actually almost out of what I call Harmony ground sites, which are that closer camping, just tent site loop. So yeah, so we definitely mitigated that by utilizing our resources, right, to expand our capacity this year. Another lesson that was really hard to learn, and that's why I want to take a little bit of time, and this probably opens up even more topics, is, as an event runner, I kind of thought that Trials wasn't going to be this big thing. It was going to have maybe 30 to 40 people, and I could just wear all the hats and do it myself, or at least with some help, Yeah, you're already laughing. Thank goodness I had so many troll volunteers, because for some reason I thought it would be a good idea. Like, yeah, I can just do troll myself all day. It would be great. And thank goodness that was definitely the one job I needed the most, I think, was some volunteers at Troll. Bless then Yilsa locally. She sat at Troll, I think, more than anybody else. Kudos to Narwhals and FAC locally as well. They also sat at Troll a good amount of time and hours so that I didn't have to, and I could, chase all the different fires and put them out. So really relying on a team was so hard for me to learn, but it was so, I guess, mind-boggling, and so just the gates of just are suddenly so clear to me and here, because now I'm actually trusting a full team of individuals. I think I have about, I want to say 12 heads, and they all have invited different support staff members, both locally, a few non-local. But we have a pretty good team this year, and I feel extremely supported. I feel like this event is really supported this year, and I really could not be more thankful to them, and for them being patient through my realization that I cannot do it all by myself, especially not at this caliber. Like I said, I thought it was going to be a much smaller event. I didn't want anyone to have to deal with it. I was like, I'll just bite this bullet. It'll be fine. And then it's 93 people later. I'm like, oh my God, I'm dying. So.
Yeah. Not my first event I ran, but I ran a Shattered Kingdoms, which was a Amtgard role playing event, and I didn't have nearly as many people as I needed. Thinking about Troll or Gate, I ended up having one person sit there almost the entire time because there weren't enough volunteers to actually run it. Bless him, he didn't care. I mean, maybe he did care. He was just not telling me, but he sat there the whole entire time. Yeah. And yeah. I told myself, never again will I'll make sure that I find someone for that spot regardless, so he does not ever have to do that again.
Yeah.
the next event, I told him he's not sitting gate, he's just going to play.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't volunteered anyways, but he likes to.
That was definitely something I had to tell to Yilsa, and we talked about, because I felt so bad. I was like, she put in so much work, and she was there most of the time, and she has a family, so she is Spawn's mom, a 14-year-old that plays our sport, who we allow to play locally because she is a responsible individual, and both of her parents play. Um, so Saint is her father. So Saint was actually the head herald last year. Um, and yeah, no, I Yosa instantly looked at me and was like, I'm not doing that again. And I was like, I don't expect you to at all, sweetheart. No. Respectfully, absolutely not. We'll find somebody. And then actually, so this year I have Clover of Andor running my troll. So she's coming from Andor, which is a realm in Southern California, San Diego area. So the fact that she's coming all the way up, she's so super motivated about it too. Like we were talking about talking at battle for the ring this past year, and she was like, "Oh, I want to do it." And I'm like, "Are you sure? Like, I'm not gonna expect you to come like 2,000 miles just to come staff my event. Like, what do you mean?" She's like, "No, I want to do it." I'm like, okay, but we're not having a repeat of Yilsa, and we're gonna make sure you're taken care of. Cool. So making sure those people are all really supported, like they're doing me the favor of supporting me. Like the least I can do is make sure that they are also staffed and supported to the best of my ability as an event runner. I think that was like kind of my biggest failure point, I think, last year, was not having enough bodies and like enough support for the support going around, because they did everything for me and I couldn't provide for them, actually. So I actually see Greg Wilson in our chat, and that is Mowgli. He is a local. He is from Alara, the realm of Alara, which is about 40 minutes south from me. And he put in like such a tremendous amount of work between weapons check and heralding, and so many like him did. Just to mention a few: Crimson, Obi, Locks, Winter, obviously Saint. All of those people like basically ran the fighting field so that I didn't have to worry about it. And also, what was really sad is that I was chasing so many random issues throughout the day all the time that I really couldn't get on the field until Saturday, and then until the realm battle. I think I fought all of 2 different occasions at my own event. And that was super stressful. And like I said, I'm sure that was really stressful for them, because then I didn't even have the support to give them.
Yeah, it's a good lesson to have learned. Although, to be fair, most of the events I've ran, I've rarely had the chance to play myself, so that's not abnormal. even if it's running smoothly, you'll find that, at least in my case, you just don't get to play as much because you're still having to go and check around. Yeah, there's still a bunch of stuff to do, even if you're not throwing out or putting out fires or anything like that. But
yeah, and Rowan just said delegate, delegate, delegate. And that's definitely, delegation is something I learned this year. That is a very powerful word, and I love that word.
It is. I was really bad at it for many years. I only had like my one dedicated helper for when I was doing feasts for all the time, or all the time I did. And it worked very well, but it was a lot of hard work for him and I. And then when I started doing event running, building teams, it was a skill that I had not developed, so I had to develop that, and to learn to delegate, let go of things I thought only I could do, or I could only trust myself to do. I don't know if you have that problem, but sometimes I have to do everything because I know how it needs to be done.
Yes. Yep. Oh, completely. Sometimes I feel like a control freak, because it's like, no, I just know how to do this, so I'm just going to get it done. And it's like, not for the fact of wanting the control of it. It's just that it would take less time for me to just do it than for me to explain how to do it. And honestly, that's a huge deficiency of mine, because then what I should have done is make sure that person knows how to do their job properly, or a job properly, so that they could support, the team from there.
Yeah. My philosophy is, as the coordinator, is to make sure all the people that need to do the jobs at the site know what they're doing before the event. So theoretically, if it's all running smoothly, nothing goes wrong when I'm actually at the event, all I have to do is make sure, or is just to watch them do their jobs. Um, that has happened once or twice, which is nice. But things always happen. You can't plan around everything. But yeah, so that's at least my philosophy about delegating nowadays. Um, I'm glad you learned it faster than I did.
Yeah. It's still a challenge, there's still like moments where I'm like, whoa, that was weird, like why'd you do that, like there was actually just there was an instance actually this morning, and I'm sure she wouldn't mind if I talked about it a little bit, because I love all of my staff to death. Dodgy is my tournament coordinator and head tournament herald this year, and she just like bam 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 and then posted everything, and like posted it without like I didn't get a brief. Like, is everything okay? Like, what did you notify this person, that person, that person? Did you get with this person who also wanted to run this? Or and then I was like, wait, you're like me. I'm micromanaging. Like, just stop. Let it happen. She made it look beautiful. It was so neat, organized, and it checked all the boxes that I told her I wanted like a few nights before, and she did a really good and powerful job of like managing those tournaments, and I'm really freaking proud of her, first of all. And then but that was just one of those things where it was like, whoa, wait a minute, this happened too fast, what's happening? Oh wait, that's right, that's what it's like to have people who know how to do things and like take that initiative themselves, and that's fantastic.
It is. It's nice. So, are there any other lessons that you learned? Let's see, delegation, plan for the size that you might get. Um, is there anything else that you may have learned?
I think those two, like between especially the delegation thing, right? That was such a huge like personal lesson, and that was just an overarching lesson that encompassed about like all of the problems that I and shortcomings that I did have running trials of the Pacific Maine. So absolutely, I think that is the only one that really serves as like something written in my memory at this point, that I can talk about, because everything else was, I think, any other problems we faced were so small, I guess. Oh, actually, no, I can talk about a little bit about security. So because the event, I was intending for the event to be really small, nothing crazy. It was really all of my most fond friends in the sport that were coming out to support this. I don't need security. It's going to be fine. Thankfully, we didn't have any issues, but we had a almost issue that then was overarching through time, and it would have been really great if there was like a security person there that night to have witnessed, recorded this behavior, because effectively we could have had somebody banned from the sport a lot sooner that needed to be, if we had maybe a more dedicated team that at least had eyes on people and was checking in on people. Thankfully, no one was harmed. Nothing really bad happened. It was just an altercation that just became, upward and over time and spilled over. But yeah, security was definitely something I learned and did not take for granted this year. Then I definitely have a really good team that I'm looking forward to having, just make sure everybody's okay.
Yeah, nice. Um, so you mentioned that you went to 10 different events leading up to running this event. What did you what inspired you from like the events, or the events? Is there specific things from the events that you incorporated into your event, or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, you touched on this on the vlog. I wrote notes as the vlog was going on so I could like kind of circle back so we can fill in for time. But now that you've mentioned it, I really do want to talk about let me find it on my chicken scratch now. You talked about questing in the in the vlog, right? And you talked about the quest board. You had never seen the quest board before. So yeah, it's funny that that quest board even existed. It's just something that was there at the park, and I was like, you know what this would be good for. But questing in general was something that really I got really inspired from people at in Idaho. There is a realm called Castle Golden Tooth, um, and it is a realm run by, or was formerly run by, Sir Nickel. And Sir Nickel was a very ambitious, like, dude, like super into everything. If I could really just put him into a few words, that would be it. And his a lot of the events that I went to last year were, or not last year, but like the first few years, my first ever event was actually his first event that he ran, which was a response for Chaos Wars not happening, right? So he put on Battle of Bywater for the first time. That was my first ever event as little baby Bellagram. So that happened in like June 2022, I think. And that was a groundbreaking experience. It was the first time I had ever been camping in my life. It was scary. I only went with like a support team of like 2 people, and they had to jet after 24 hours. So I was like, oh shit, I'm scared. I'm going with you guys. But I got that 24-hour experience at that event, and there was a lot of intrigue, a lot of questing, a lot of just people not necessarily NPCing, but just being whatever they wanted to be that day, and like doing really cool stuff. Red Crow's Night Market, for example. Red Crow is somebody out of Montana, in the realm of Frostwall. And Red Crow, literally, and he's been doing this for forever now, he runs a trinket trade night market. So, you know, you come with a trinket or something of value, you trade it, and he gives you something off his table, and it's really cool, and it's just a really nice intrigue thing. But his character, his persona at the time, wore a red goblin mask, and he was painted all red, and he got really into character, and he was really intense about it, and it's like, oh, so cool. And then I saw these people across different events. So then Nickel went on to put on Tournament of the Fae, in February that was the next year. So that was 2023. Yeah, math is hard sometimes. 2023,
especially dates.
February, Tournament of the Fae. And then he threw another day event that next month called Green Knight's Gauntlet. And this was like an overarching story that Nickel was trying to tell. It was a whole light versus dark kind of scenario, and there were quests and different tasks affiliated with each of these factions, right? And you did and carried out these tasks and got points basically for either the side of light or dark. Super immersive, super great. I have not participated in something of that caliber since that time, and to say I'm spoiled now, it's like a really big thing. But that's not how, like you said in the video, that's not how like Belegarth usually works. Like, there's questing in Belegarth, what? Like, and that's something definitely that is making an upswing. But yeah, just absolutely, Golden Tooth really brought it home, those 2 events, because they really inspired me to want to bring that to trials. And that was the questing board, and that was making sure people in the locality felt, I guess, empowered to put on whatever kooky thing they wanted to do. So like, we had a meeting one day, and we're like, hey, questing is going to be a thing. Like, what do we want to kind of put on the schedule, or put on the quest board, so that people can interact with this? And how in-depth do we want it to be? How not in-depth do we want it to be? Like, we try to keep it really casual, so that way it was kind of like a breakthrough entry level kind of thing. So nothing too crazy. But what came of it that I'm really proud of, so we have somebody in our realm named Carl, and it's Carl spelt with three to four A's. And the whole joke is Carl that kills people, because his name is actually Carl. We just never named him. He's a great dude. He's just like, yeah, that's just my name. And so Carl developed basically the entirety of the monster hunt. I don't know what his inspiration was necessarily, but he came up with, all the monsters and all these little cool things they do. And I'm sure like there's like in Amtgard, there's also monsters, not in the sense of like people that play monsters, but like there's monsters that have special abilities in Amtgard, right?
Yeah,
And sometimes, yeah. So,
they have
and
a
it
whole
was
class and stuff like that. Yeah.
so the best way I can describe that is literally you had people be like NPC monsters that had these special abilities, and you could challenge them and hunt them essentially. And then hunting them would get you certain amounts of either points or I think really just points last year. We didn't really do anything crazy as far as prizes on that front, but it was really important, really cool to see. And I think that was definitely our premier like quest last year.
There's also the friendship quest. I
Right.
know that I casually kind of paid attention during the event about that quest that was going on. Someone uh, included me with part of meeting the initial people, and for love of me, I can't remember her name, which I'm terrible with names. But um, anyways, we so I was kind of paying attention to that. And it looked like there were some problems with it that you had to overcome. Do you want to talk about
Yeah.
the friendship quest?
Absolutely. Oh, I'd love to talk about the friendship quest. So the friendship quest was actually kind of like my idea. I was like, hey, what if we, Trials is going to be a lot of different localities are going to and regions are going to be mashing together, and they don't necessarily know each other. How do we get people encouraged or interested in getting to know other people? And I came up with the Trial of Friendship quest line, and it was like a like 2 or 3 tier quest, and originally on paper the quest was written out as find a Belegrim that you've met for the first time at this event and come see Dwarf. So I was like the full person for this quest line, and so people would come to me, and I'd say, hey, that's great. You guys got to know each other. Tell me a little bit about yourselves. So that way they're interfacing with me. I get to learn who they are if I've never met them before, which was very uncommon. I pretty much knew most people, quite honestly. And and then I'd be like, oh, okay. It sounds like you got to learn a lot about each other. If you guys are comfortable with it, I really want you guys to take a walk on the beach, that beautiful beach we had, and collect me 10 rocks. 10 rocks about this size, the size of a pebble. It has to fit through the neck of a bottle, and that's going to become very important about, maybe 5 minutes, depending on how long I take to describe all of this. Oh, we got Runebeard in.
Yeah, he's logging in. I'll go ahead and hello, Runebeard.
Hello. I cannot actually hear you guys. I will be right back.
Oh, that's fine.
Wonderful.
You can't hear us, but that's fine. I actually got to the point in the quest where we were collecting rocks.
Good, you
I
did
heard
get
she was
there.
from
Okay.
Montana, and she during the first, I think it was the first night. This is the night that she brought me to you. I'm pretty sure it was the first night. Anyways.
I wonder. I can't remember who it was that brought that you two that you were paired up with. It's really drawing a blank. Unfortunately, I'm sure I know who exactly it is if I looked at their name or saw their face. I was like, oh no, that's who it was. But yeah,
it was fun. It got me to talk to people. It got people to talk to me.
Right.
Actually, I wasn't the one going out there and doing it. She's the one that came up and said hi to me as I walked by. So
hi, I want to do that, and that's like the whole intent was like, hey, I really want to do this quest. I guess I'll grab some random, really beautiful, luscious bearded man and go walk on the beach and collect rocks. Right?
That must have been it.
Must have been.
Cameron Ray talking about Critias. Yes, he messaged me. He says he's going to jump in later, so he'll theoretically still be here. But yeah, the anniversary got him. So it's understandable why he's late.
Completely. Absolutely.
Yeah, but
it happens.
Yeah, so if we can pick up where the story was while Runebeard fixes his audio.
Absolutely, and it'll be interrupted probably a few more times, but we'll 100%. See. I love it. No, so after the can't say a couple, but after the pair, right, brings me the rocks, I say, oh, great, okay, you got some rocks for me. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You guys were... Let's see. I want to make sure he gets set up okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Sorry about that.
You can
That's
hear
all right.
us. We can hear you.
Yeah.
This is great. Do you need to do any like sound checks or any kind of leveling?
I would
Baelnorn?
like to ask chat, do we sound okay? I wasn't able to test levels with Runebeard before we went on. So if there's any sound discrepancies between anyone, please speak up and I'll do my best to fix it because I want everyone to be heard.
Are the vibes okay, chat?
And ironically, the eternal curse of running events sometimes, I end up coming home late.
Right? Speaking of it, right? You're commiserating to the right choir over here.
Right? Just got back from running a demo table at the Highland Games here locally.
That's super. That's actually that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I saw that you were doing that, so I figured that's probably what happened. Just got busy doing the thing.
The eternal struggle.
Yep. So for people that don't know, this is Runebeard. He also runs events, amongst other things, in Amtgard. And so we'll talk a little bit about his event later. That's coming up as well. It's called Omens. Yeah, I'll properly introduce Runebeard later. We're in the middle of a story about friendship, and I would like to have that finished.
Lovely.
And then I'll properly introduce Runebeard.
Wonderful.
I cannot wait.
Wonderful. So you guys collected 10 rocks on the beach. You come to me. I collect those rocks from that pair. And I say, okay, cool. I'll actually, what's your names again? Oh, hey. Okay, cool. Actually, you guys are my friends now, and you're my friends, and we're friends and stuff like that. So I actually want to let you in on a secret. There's going to be a secret friendship tournament. And you're two people that don't know each other, and I really want you to enter this tournament. And then I take down their names, and they'd be entered into the tournament. And then that tournament would happen as it was on the schedule to happen. What actually ended up happening is that so many non-combatants were interested in this quest that I actually couldn't run a combat tournament with this quest line. And a lot of fighters were less than negative interested in friendship, I guess. To say it bluntly.
No way.
And no way. What? Quests and intrigue? What's that? Especially in Belegarth, right? Welcome to it. So this idea I thought was really going to be cool, because then there would be two fighters, that don't know each other, and they have to now test their friendship by not knowing what the hell they do, and navigating that. Like I said, the tournament never happened. We ended up just doing a standard duos actually instead, which was just as fine. Like you said, DeVry and Scory really knocked it out of the park and beat everybody.
Well, so they were the winners then. I knew they made it to the last round.
I'm pretty sure they were. They were very top tier. I'm pretty sure they won. I think any tournament that Scory was involved in, they won. So.
They're some of the better fighters in our game.
I need to get with Scory more. Scory's such a delight and absolutely
I enjoy him.
So fast. Oh my goodness.
Cool.
But yeah, so instead, since all these non-coms and, there were some fighters mixed in, but I was just what would be even better than fighting to the death after our friendship thing is actually, let's make a friendship circle that we're all going to be a part of, and let's introduce each other's friends to everyone else. So now this pair of friends becomes a community and a circle of friends. So that ended up being a really special talk, and it was really just us just chit-chatting and having fun and hi, this is so-and-so and they like this and whatever, and then the next person would go, yeah, this is my friend so-and-so, da-da-da, and it just was a really cute thing. I really liked it. I enjoyed it. It's something I'm very glad that you're very interested in this quest line, because it's something I was oh yeah, I'm never going to do that again. But maybe that's something I incorporate down the line if I know there's more newcomers again, or somebody who hasn't met anybody. We're getting a lot of people and spreading to a lot more states that maybe don't know people. So maybe that quest does still have a place in trials and in other events, maybe. So what also then, so now I mentioned earlier, so right, you were collecting rocks for me that were about, you could fit and pass them through the neck of a wine bottle. In Belegarth, there is a community pagan ritual that we do at certain events. It depends who's around, what's around, what resources we have, if we ourselves have the spoons and the resources to facilitate that ritual. But essentially, that ritual, a big major part of that ritual is somebody has the bottle, right? And this bottle is filled with random objects, flowers, rocks, different symbolic tokens, essentially. And essentially, though, it is symbolism for all of the intentions that are put into this bottle to preserve our community and move it forward. So for Trials of the Pacific Maine, I was entrusted the bottle to safeguard and keep. Or actually, no, I'm sorry, my squire sister was. So Brune was entrusted to bring the bottle to trials and then handed it off to me so that I could be entrusted with the bottle and facilitate that ritual with her. So when we facilitated that ritual, it's like, oh, what's the media that we're going to put in the bottle? It ended up being rocks from the shoreline because, and I explained it, the symbology to me then was steadfast commitment and like loyalty, undying loyalty to our community. So everybody takes a rock, essentially says a word of progression, of growth, and puts that intention, that word, into the bottle. And we go around in a circle and do that. It's a really nice, it has nothing to do with religion necessarily. It's just an entire, like, if people have a calling to do something or feel something, they have a safe place to be. And that ritual has transcended now. I think it started at Western Moors last year. And now has been, I think, at least across like six different events now, with all of us perpetuating that forward. So I think it was a really nice media to put into the bottle that these rocks came from a trial of friendship that a lot of people who have love towards other people in this community have gathered specifically for the media for this bottle. So yeah, that was that quest. I think Luna mentioned it earlier. That was actually one of the first quests on the books, because that was my idea and something that I had. I knew it was all coming, so I was like, I really want to make this as special as I can, and I want to involve more people and, not spread the pagan agenda or anything, but I want to involve people with this ritual if they feel so inclined to join us and everything. And we did. We had a really nice circle powwow, and it was really nice. And the trial of friendship, it was a thing that happened. Absolutely.
Really amazing opportunity to spread culture. That's so cool.
Yeah, love culture. Yeah, right. You weren't here the first portion of the stream, but I am all about culture. That's what my event is really like, jived off of, is I found culture I really appreciated, and I want to make sure that culture got perpetuated to my region.
Yeah, we love that.
Yeah. So going back a little bit in the story, the fact that the quest didn't survive your initial intention, which was to have the go to the tournament. I think that you probably should have this quest if you're going to do quests again, or a quest like it, because something you might have noticed, which you did notice, was there's a lot of non-combats people that were really interested in doing something. Yeah. So I noticed in Amtgard, we always try to give a lot of activities for people to do that aren't fighters, because there's a lot of non-fighters in Amtgard too. But like you were doing that as well, not just quests, but you had A and S classes and stuff like that for people that wanted to take a break from fighting or weren't fighting at all. But I think people really want to be entertained, and the quest was entertaining. So,
thank you. That's good. I'm glad that it at least survived that effort of being entertaining. I'll definitely consider those words. So thank you for them.
not it was also useful as a community building effort from how you used it. It was a good idea.
Thank
You
you.
know, the more opportunity we have to have people interacting, especially if we don't know who they don't know who each other are, that is the best thing. And like, if you don't have to be a fighter to be a part of something, we love that.
Yeah.
Because fighting isn't always the thing that's creating memories. It's part of it, but not always the focus, right?
True.
Speaking about meeting
I
people,
couldn't agree more.
this
Sorry,
is
Baelnorn.
Runebeard. No, sorry. I saw a segue. I had to take it. This is Runebeard. He is a returning guest. He's been on a few times. He is an event runner himself. He's been doing it for how many years have you been running events?
Pretty well the last 10 years.
All right. That's a while.
When
a lot of
like
experience.
got into the game, and the first year I was in, I'm like, went to my first two events, one of those being SKBC, the other one being like a local Canadian event up in Edmonton. I went, oh my God, why don't we have that for our local? So I went, okay, we're going to do the thing. And it has not ended since. I think the only time we haven't had Nomans was during like the COVID era time, because obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
So I think we've had like a 2-3 year break in between, but yeah, I've had the opportunity to run it for the last 10 years, and it's been so much fun.
Yeah. And the Omens is a role playing event, which actually got us talking about. I wasn't originally going to have Runebeard on this podcast. I was going to just have Dwarf and may find another person that ran events, but he specifically runs Omens, which is a role play event in which the last 5 events I ran were also role play events. So it made me think maybe we should have a talk or a conversation comparing notes and stuff like that, because he's basically being able to run the same event multiple times, and it's a different experience when you can learn from one event multiple times and test things out, try new things that you may not otherwise be able to do. That I found very valuable myself, so I thought we'd have a conversation about it. But we're still talking about Trials of the Pacific Maine before we get into Omens. So, but we will definitely get into Omens, which hasn't happened yet this year. Go ahead and throw the date out, though.
It is August 9th to the 12th this year, so it's coming up.
Oh, and it's in Canada.
Yes, sorry, it's in Canada. It happens just outside of Kamloops, BC, near Salmon Arm. We have all the details on Facebook and the availability to bring them on for people as well. We actually have a website that we use for it, just like a Google website, but it does wonders. I might drop them one of the areas, I guess, at some point.
Oh yeah, just in the YouTube chat if you want.
Sweet. I will also put this out as a caveat. The event itself has actually only been a quest-heavy roleplay event for the past 2 going on 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Previous to that, there was questing in it, but it's been so many different styles. One year we had One Grand Nation out, and they taught classes for the event, which was super rad. Yeah, that was a hot minute ago. We've always had some form of questing, but only recently has it become a interest to make it a pure questing event. So we barely have anything like aside from questing. So we'll have like a mini court, and then it's just 2 to 3 days of pure questing. But we can go more into that later. I will go find a link and drop it into the chat.
Also, we have a lot of Belegarth players in the chat, which I love, and thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I know you're supporting Dwarf, but you're supporting me at the same time, so I have to be appreciative. I am very appreciative. Thank you for being here. But if we ever get into jargon that is specific to Amtgard, please stop me, and we'll say it in more mundane terms, because like troll, for example, is called gate in Amtgard, and I didn't know what troll was the first time I went to Western Wars, because culturally we call it something else. So it's very possible that we'll get into a deep conversation about things that you have no idea what we're saying, because it's just jargon, and I'll try to avoid that, but yeah, it could happen.
Definitely. Likewise, and this is an Amtgard stream, so I absolutely said troll earlier, and I was like, oh wait, do they call that something else? Yeah, but it's a little weird because I remember right back at Bywater 1, I was like, what the hell is troll? What is going on here? We're going to visit somebody scary? Like, what's going on? So absolutely. If I say something also that's not commonly your terminology, please, but between both of you, probably just correct and translate that.
Totally. Also, out of curiosity, so your gate is called Troll. Is that because you have to pay the troll's toll?
That's actually exactly how it's been explained to me. Yes,
I didn't even think about that. Wow,
I love that. That's so good.
Yeah,
I wish we had Bell up here, and other things. We don't have much other than Amtgard and like SCA and HEMA.
Yeah, are you actually from Canada?
Yep. Yeah.
That's insane.
Live up in Kamloops, BC. So
BC.
It is like 5 hours above Spokane.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also wish you had Belegarth. I know there's probably a few up in Canada, but there's like Thunder or something that's in Canada, and I don't know where that. Canada is an abyss that I have never visited, despite being trying to be worldly. I'm like, oh, what's Canada? Like,
it's the eternal struggle, right? I think at one point there was in like Vancouver for a little while, and that doesn't quite exist anymore. Sadly, as far as I'm aware, I would love to learn more.
Yeah, because that'd be even pretty close to us. And imagine taking some trips out to Canada. That'd be cool.
So what are you doing in August?
Actually, running Trials of the Pacific Maine. What are you doing in late August? I maybe might think about Omens in mid-August.
They're not overlapped. You could both go to each other's.
Right? I'll show you yours if you show me mine, right?
I'm so excited now.
Wonderful.
Speaking about Trials of the Pacific Maine 2, do you want to talk about the event? What you got planned? We already talked about the last one a little bit. So what do you have planned so far for this next one?
Trials of the Pacific Maine 2 is kind of just like, second verse, same as the first, but better. There's no theme or anything like that. I know Belegarth events usually take on themes. That's a after 5-year plan for me. I'm not taking on themes, I think, until after we've kind of gotten a full foothold, see if there's still demand in 5 years kind of thing. But this year, Trials is going to be, if you guys had the pleasure of seeing Baelnorn's vlog earlier, I know Runebeard didn't, unfortunately, which is sad, but maybe we can rerun it, Baelnorn. I don't know if chat likes that. I don't know. I really liked it.
And end of the stream adventure.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe an end of the close it out with. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I might do that.
But Trials 2 is going to have a lot of the same. So we're going to have that monster quest line by Carl. He's actually heading the questing and intrigue department. I made a department for that, so that way people who want to feel empowered to share something, do something, can go through him and filter it all and put it on, at least cards, so we can put them on the quest board again. I don't know how efficient the quest board's actually going to be this year, because we're going to be spread out everywhere with all the capacity updates that we had. So yeah, I think big thing about Trials that's going to be different this year is really the capacity. I'm tracking, at least, instead of 93 participants from last year, we're going to have probably, my original estimate was 120. I think I have to up that estimate to about 140 now because of all the bumbling I'm kind of hearing, rustling all over here going on. And I'm like, oh shoot, there's more people tracking it than I think sometimes. So it's just going to be bigger, better. More, we're going to try and do I guess more kind of not amenity per se, but we're going to make things more accessible. We're going to have a hydration station. I think that was actually a key point. That was one of those minor things that I talked about, right? Like that, what lessons did you learn? Yeah, that's a minor thing in the scale of delegation. So so a minor lesson to learn. Hey, yeah, have a hydration station out for people. It's hot outside. And this was in October last year. So this year we're actually moving to August because we wanted to get closer to the summer and actually be a competitive summer held Belegarth event. was the vision, at least. And also, actually, to tell you a story from last year, since it was held in October in the Pacific Northwest up here in Washington, we got rain, a lot of rain, 2 weeks before trials. Like a lot of rain, like enough rain to take us out of a burn ban, so it was a blessing in disguise. It cleared up for trials, and then literally as I was packing up and leaving the site, it started downpouring, and then continued for another 2 weeks. So, right, I mentioned like pagan stuff. I am a Norse pagan by like trade, heart, and like everything else. I was like, well, thank you. Like, absolutely, thank you. I won't do that again. I had to promise. I was like, I will not do that again, because I do not want to risk anybody getting rained on in Washington, because the second I feel like people get rained on at an event is the second they will not come. Especially with the track record that Washington usually has. So big update. Like I said, we're basically just moving it to August, and we're going to try and stay there. Only problem is we might be fighting then with a burn ban, and that would really suck also to not have fire throughout the entire event, but we'll try and figure it out, and we'll hope for the best.
Yeah, burn bans are a bummer.
Hey, sure. I exist in them. BC is like always on fire, so I think our burn ban starts in like March. So sadly, very rarely do we have fires. Well, at least the good kind.
But yeah, Trials is not going to be all too different, I feel, in my opinion, this year. I think there's a few people in the chat that might have a different opinion, or at least might be thinking more clearly than I currently am, being kind of like in the middle of something, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm in a stream, guys. I'm in a simulation.
Oh my god.
Oh no. Yeah. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I really actually... Well, awesome for Baelnorn, like so. Oh yeah, no, I thank you, I appreciate that. But really, thanks again to Baelnorn for having me here, because this is like a huge freaking honor. Like, thank you guys for letting me talk so much about my event, and having a good time of it.
No, one thing I wanted to do when I started doing this was, well, I'm an Amtgarder and that's what I do. I wanted to make sure that cross gaming, specifically mostly Bell, because that is the game I have crossed into a little bit here and there, and I have friends in. So I really wanted to highlight just the full fighting aspect. And in the Northwest, that's Bell and Amtgard. So I wanted to include Belegarth as much as I can, and so that's why it was important to get you on and talk about your event, especially since it was like, I keep going back to the quest board as being unique, but that was a unique aspect that I hadn't seen. I've heard of DARPing from Drunk Ass Role Playing. That's about the extent of role playing in the monsters, as well as Belegarth. But I mean, I don't know it very well. I just hear stories, you know. But it sounded fun. But no, I never heard of any organized questing in role play and stuff like that. So that was really cool to see that you were trying that out for your event.
Yeah. At least very light and diet stuff, because, you know, it's always like, yeah, definitely like a lot of people do. I've found like eat that shit up, you know, essentially. But like not a lot of fighters do, or not a lot of non-coms even do. So it's kind of, you got to cater to both of those spectrums of the sport, and then meet in the middle, and then make it light and easy digestible and like small bites material. So you can't really do anything extravagant necessarily, but definitely, you know, as long as you kind of like keep it simple, stupid, right? Kiss.
Oh yeah.
You know, it is definitely like, you know, that's my way, or my ideology for thinking about these things. And trying to bring questing to at least Bell spaces, or, you know, more high tempo sport like LARPs.
Yeah, I think the Highland Games was a good choice too, because it's fighting, It's basically a weekend tournament where they get to pretend that there's something else, a little bit different rules than a regular Belegarth event. So I think that was a good choice to get people that were fighters involved with the quest board, is by having that was a good choice, the tournament there. So
yeah, definitely.
So it's something that I've noticed is even the most fighty people, if you make them think it's their idea that they're doing the thing, they're gonna fall in love with it.
It's all my idea, right? All the time.
They don't think they like it until they like it.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, there's been so many people and interactions I've had just in general, not even in the context of LARPing, but it's like, oh, this was your opinion like not even 5 seconds ago, but suddenly I, fashioned it in a different way, and suddenly it's like, yeah, I really like that. I see you doing that, and I really like that. I'm like, oh, okay, you kind of
let's go do that.
You kind of fought me on this actually in the beginning, and now you think it's fun because you see other people having a great time. Awesome, I've done my job.
Proudest moment was getting an SCA night to join in with non-combat questing.
That's freaking cool. Hell yeah. Absolutely. Right? Achievement.
Yeah. That means I'm doing something right.
Love that. Completely.
Also, just to diverge a little bit, there's excitement going on in the other room. My wonderful partner is making a wedding dress for another Amtgarder, and she just traveled up from down in Spokane area to come try it on.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. That's very cool.
Right?
Look at that.
Super rad. So she might sneak in here once or twice. We will see.
Wonderful. No, exactly. No, she was definitely a ninja going across the screen because I didn't see her.
Nope. I barely saw her. I felt her. I definitely felt her. The presence was wonderful.
There. No, wonderful. And I think that's a really cool thing that you have friends that are just like, oh, I'm going to travel in and your partner's going to make them a wedding dress. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's cool.
The community stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely love. At least the community I ended up in, and I know Amtgard's or at least the LARPing community is very similar.
I'd agree. So
the joys of getting nerds in a room together.
Oh yeah.
We're just built different. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So I think from here we're going to talk about Omens a little bit, just to highlight what Omens is, just so they can throw out their event in earlier August. But I think we're going to start talking about some of the more nitty-gritty aspects of planning, maybe some more of the different departments and stuff like that are more non specific trials of specific and just kind of workshop ideas. And please, if you have any questions about event running, ask them. No question is off the table. That's as long as it's on topic, I guess. So yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about Omens, Runebeard?
Sweet. So Omens has kind of been my love child for the last 2, now going on 3 years. Many years ago, I went to an event called Rosewood. So used to be an event, I think, done between Black Spire and Northern Lights, and it was very heavy roleplay, filled with questing, all that kind of jazz. And now, many years later, I kind of came to the conclusion, I'm like, what is Amtgard missing? We have all these events, there's tournaments, there's fighting, there's battle gaming, it's all a ton of fun. And then there's questing, which kind of just gets a back seat, per se. So I'm just like, you know what? Let's give this a try. We're going to run a quest event. Instead of doing the token, we're going to have tournament, we're going to have court, we're going to have feast, we're going to do all this token Amtgard event stuff. Instead, we're going to cut that out. None of that. We got rid of tournaments, we got rid of battle gamings, we got rid of court. We had a mini court technically, but the concept, this is just the base concept of it anyways, is that it is 3, maybe 4 days worth of event where it is strictly questing. We're currently on a 5-year timeline going through a scenario per se, or a storyline. So currently we are doing Into the Feywilds. So it is a Feywild themed event. I've been having so much fun with it because it is literally you show up day one, you hang out. It is very much a get your hellos out, all that comes with that, and then the next day is strictly into gameplay. You wake up, there's a block, there's a little breakfast block, and then everybody is straight into questing. I think our first year's event, we ran throughout the entire of the weekend something like 72 quests.
That's quite a few.
That is quite a few.
It was something like that. That might have been year 2, but we generally do like just a dramatic amount of questing. The format that because every year we try something different, we find what works, and then we build upon it. The idea is we're always constantly growing in some way or fashion. Our first year we ran, I think we did 3 quests per quest runner per block, and then a main storyline block. So it's basically like open world mini questing with a main story running throughout the day. So players got to go into a faction and work as a team to solve potential mysteries. First year, it was, what was it? It was Into the Feywilds, and it was, let me pull up the name of it. It's been a hot while. My brain is strictly on this year's because a lot of work goes into this event. I think this year we have another like 70 or 80 quests, give or take, because we run at least 3 game runners as well as a 4th one to run a main storyline, and each one gets a block, and we run 6 blocks throughout the day. So there's constantly new games being flipped in and flipped out. So basically your quest is like paradise per se. As well, we have the theme of it being like a roguelite. So you enter into it with very little gear. So the concept is maybe you come in and you start with a short sword. And then as you do quests and you go through the content, you gain more and more power. So, for example, in Amtgard, a healer. So they're doing all the healing stuff. They can't wear armor. Something that comes along with this roguelike theme is you can get equipment cards, which are usable by anybody. So it allows you to unlock your class fantasy. So you can be that healer in full plate with a polearm if you want to be. Or you can be a barbarian with a bow. You name it, you can do it. And that's been the constant goal of this event, is to focus on the fun of the game rather than necessarily the balancing as well. And since it's constantly evolving, that's also changing. Like this year, I'm really excited for it. Instead of gaining equipment cards through questing and finding loot that way, we have like a whole reward center where quests are going to give you currency, and you're going to bring that currency over to a reward vendor where you can pick up equipment, including donated items that you can buy from this reward center and take home when you're done. Yeah.
Wow.
It's good. I'm very excited for this year. It's going to be so much fun. I know that's probably a lot of information in a short period of time, but there is so much at this event. Sorry.
That is something about Amtgard events is some people think of Amtgard as a role play, but really we battle game with classes. We don't role play very often. We don't do story driven content. We don't. We barely even do scenario content on our bigger events. Local parks probably do more than in our bigger events. It's usually just tournaments and battle games. It's more like League of Legends than it is or Skyrim, for example.
The joke that DAG is more RP heavy.
So events like his is pretty rare, at least in the Northwest, and there's a lot more moving parts than what you'd find for a lot of normal events. So that's probably why there was a lot of information to regurgitate
and
to dig through my own brain.
Oh yeah.
Definitely, that sounds really revolutionary. Like, how has your success with that been so far? Because you're taking something that's kind of old school, oh, I just want to fight and do battle games, and not any of this flirby shit over here. How has that reception been, and how many people are you getting at this event?
So far, people have been loving it, and we've been growing by about 20% per year.
Nice.
So our first year, I think we had about 50 people, give or take. Last year, about 80. This year is confirming to be around those numbers, if not a little bit more as well. So it's definitely a sign that people are enjoying what we're putting out. And I think there's a little bit for everybody as well, alongside all of these quests, which these quests also come with a perspective of their majority of them are non-combat. So they're like gathering quests, or they're solving puzzles, or they're doing these things with a potential chance of being combat-based, because all questing is done in parties of 5. So it kind of allows you to control things a little bit better and have those moving parts work for you, right? That's something I've seen in Amtgard over my 10 years of being in this. Is anytime there's a quest, it's just tons of people against a little group. And the quest NPCs always get overrun. It's always super one-sided. Whereas, splitting people up into smaller groups really helps eliminate that. And I think lets it be more enjoyable for other people too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the coolest thing is, I think what makes it for me and makes me know that it's working are the stories that come out of it. I should almost grab my partner in the other room. Because I'm in the background doing so much, I don't get always to hear as many of the stories that happen, but I can tell that year one, the theme song of the event became Earth, Fire, Water, September. Or yeah, I think that's something like that, because the event was in September, and because we gave people the ability to figure their own way through certain quests, we had an obelisk that players had to solve the puzzle of, which originally was just using different elements on the puzzle. One of the teams decided to sing to it because it was like the perfect elements for it. And because I'm not incredibly stingy on how people succeed, right? If you can find a creative way to beat a quest, hell yeah, let's do it. So stories like that where that becomes the story for so long or so good, and as I meet more people that have come to the event, more come out. We ran one of the mini puzzles throughout the weekend. Was a puzzle where you had you had to get across the river. So there's a little river that you have to cross. We actually have a river on site, which is pretty cool. And you had 4 people, total 5 people in your party. 4 things. You had a wolf, so one of the players was a wolf, a cabbage, a boat, and a sheep. And the one player had to make it across the river. And there were people that role-played. One person decided to be the cabbage and would make cabbage sounds.
Cabbage sounds.
Cabbage sounds. I think it was something along the lines of cabbage. All the shenanigans, right?
What else would you do as a cabbage, right?
Right? What do you do as a cabbage? You make cabbage sounds. You exist your best cabbage life. But yeah, what makes me know that it's working and it's successful is that people are happy, even when things don't work out, because sometimes that do happen. Last year, we were only able to do about half of the event because we got a heat dome. So it decided to go up to what was it, 45 or 50 degrees out here, which the conversion on that is 120 almost.
No. Yikes.
And it was very much a spur of the weather. There was no predicting it. It just happened, right? So even with that, there are still plenty of stories, and people had a fun time, and they're bringing their friends back for this year.
It's awesome.
Right?
Yeah, congratulations on all the success you've been having. I know it's like, sometimes our sports can be like herding cats where it's like, no, come do this thing. It's going to be good for you. No, I don't want to do that. I want to go this way.
Right. I think something that also helps us be so successful is we have another group we work with. So we have Dungeons and Dragons improvers in town, and they come out and be our NPCs for the weekend.
Nice.
Yeah. Last year's event was Battle for the Throne. The TLDR of it was the previous year, the Princess of the Feywild was killed by sacrifice to the demon Asmodeus. It was a whole wild storyline. It was great. But for the year, we ended up having these D&D improvers come in and play as the Fey Courts. And man, did they have so much fun because improvers. So they went in, they created as much chaos as they could.
That's a great resource.
Right?
Huge.
And they had so much fun, they're bringing even more of their actors back for this year. Last year, I think we had 4 or 5. This year, we're looking at like 6 or 7.
I love that. That's great.
Nice.
Right? And then I guess another silver lining, the site we actually have it on, the downside of it, low amenities. So it's almost like old school event camping where it is literally, we bring in porta potties. There is no technical water on site or anything like that. So it's roughing it a bit. But it's really cool because it is actually owned by one of the knights, the said knight that I talked about earlier, who is a part of the SCA. So he lends out their SCA site to us to use and build upon as we would like.
That's awesome.
Right?
Nice.
That is
the potential is amazing. The man wants to build a castle on site eventually because it's like 27 acres. And he is a wonderful craftsman. Shout out to Sir Whitehand.
Wonderful. That makes me so happy to hear that. Oh my gosh. The more, for LARP by LARP, like kind of establishments that we can enrich into this community and enrich into our country in general, or, in Canada, it would just be, it's phenomenal. It's such a great resource when something like that happens. I actually, I just did some site digging and just toured a site yesterday, up here in so it's like a little bit not Centralia, Washington area, but so 2 hours south of me here in Bremerton, or Seattle, essentially. There's a site. There is somebody who runs a Gothic LARP. I don't know if Gothic's like a system or something, but it seems pretty prevalent around here, I guess. And it's like Gothic Age of Ashes or something like that, that she runs, and she has this 40-acre site that she runs it on, and then she has there's another Gothic Runeheim game that happens on other weekends, and she's slowly but surely starting to rent that space out and get more commercialized. Basically, EMP, which is basically like SCA, rented that site a month ago now, and had a great time, burned a whole little fire circle into the ground, and she's just like, I love it. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I love that for you. And, things we wouldn't be able to do in normal commercial or otherwise state or, county mandated sites. So I think that's really impeccable that you have that site that's willing to work with you and build essentially with you, and you're helping it build by giving them the money, the people, and all the money from your event, into that resource, and it only benefits both of you. So actually, next year, I'm really highly considering working with this individual and with this site for next year's trials, because we're apparently already too big for our boots again this year. We'll see about that. So we need to kind of upgrade a little bit. And so far, that's, even if it's 2 hours away from me, it's actually about an hour. It's only an hour from Tacoma, and then it actually ends up being then that 2 hours closer to everybody else coming in. So it really only behooves me to go there. So
I will want to hear more about that site because it's really hard to find sites these days, especially affordable ones anyways.
What's actually really funny, it's technically closer to Portland than it is to me. But only by about like maybe 15 minutes to 20. So it's like, oh, cool. Like even Western Wars could come to this site. I think they're also about as similar. They're larger than me, don't get me wrong, but they are a similar caliber site that can be, or event that can be held on this site for sure. Which their new site was fantastic, though. I don't think they have any problems unless they're having like cost issues, is what the last thing I heard on the grapevine. So definitely, who knows?
It can be the struggle.
Yeah.
I know I've been kind of blessed by the sites that I've had. Majority of my sites have actually always been free sites.
Well, that's convenient.
Oh, well, that must be nice.
It comes with different problems. Like, generally, that also means no amenities, right? But the silver lining is we do have a free site to utilize, right?
Yeah.
It just means we have the ability to put more into it to better it. Our previous site, it was the owner of it lived on one of the residential areas, and they had like, I don't know, something crazy like 100 acres. And he was actually the one that brought Amtgard to our area. We ran our event on his site. And it went as far as we actually did proper plumbing to get proper flushing outhouses installed and like all that stuff, and it was super cool.
Fantastic.
Sadly, not our site anymore, but it is what it be.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this new site will work out to be just as amenable.
It's pretty cool. It technically has a well on site already and electricity running to it. So with a lot of love put into it, it can become an even better site.
Right. Helping each other build those resources up and stack those resources is going to be imperative. And, right. Help your local LARPer,
Yeah,
for sure.
Right. And especially because the SCA uses it a ton too. If we can all come together and build it into a beautiful site for each other, that helps everybody.
Completely.
It does.
Could not agree more. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's the dream of every LARPer to have a LARP-centric LARP campground that they can just go and LARP at, do their thing, build it up. But it's hard. Owning a bunch of land is hard to get.
Hard.
It is.
It costs a lot of money.
Hard to get. Yeah, it costs a lot of money. And then think about that maintenance, though, too. Oh, my God. I hate mowing my own... Lots of cows, yeah. I hate mowing my own lawn. Like, get out of here with a whole, 40 to 100 plus acres. Like, get out of here. No way.
It's great when we prep for the site. He's got these things that we just drive around and just take all the grass out. So much fun.
I like that.
Right.
Absolutely. Love that.
The Northern Lights, our Washington Amtgard group has found a really pretty good site. It's the Panhandle 4-H Center, and they've been going there for many years. And they go and they've been helping out at cleanup days and stuff like that. And they've, I guess, they're expanding and they're building a new parking lot because we fill up their parking area.
Wow.
And they've been working really hand in hand for the last couple of years. We might even get storage on site or something like that. It's over by Shelton. I don't know if you know where that is, but
yeah, no, I'm pretty familiar. I've been wanting to look into Panhandle, but the site costs have been ridiculous for something my size. Absolutely, though. Oh, it's such a good resource, and I'm glad that they're able to work with then the 4-H and everything like that to accommodate that and accommodate them. That's super special.
Yeah, recently I got to see they're putting in a bigger driveway or parking area.
Yeah,
and that's super cool.
They're asking people to come help do root cleanup to get rid of some of the roots, and I think the Kingdom is trying to organize some people to go up there and help with that.
Nice.
But if you're actually interested in the site, we'll talk more about this later, but I might be able to get you in touch with the Amtgard person and see about prices. And yeah, because it might be different because working with a different organization. But contacts and networking is very important, and especially for finding sites. So any chance I get to help out and do that, I try to do that to facilitate. So,
yep.
Yeah, it's a great site. I tried to use it for something, but it didn't work out. But I ran an event called Shattered Kingdoms for like 5 years, and then the pandemic happened. And now the site that I was running it at, and I was going to go back to it, I can't go back to because the Oregon Forage Center is closing and selling. So, like, I'm stuck in a position where I have some money, but not enough money to reserve a site. Because the Oregon Forage Center was really cool, and I was able to only do a $500 deposit.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So my event's in limbo forever.
That sucks. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's okay. Life is hard sometimes, so taking the break wasn't too bad. But I really wanted to get back into running events, so that way it kind of sucks.
What is taking breaks? I don't know what that is.
It's how you stay in the game for 20 plus years without really quitting.
I'm halfway there.
Halfway.
Almost halfway.
Right? Yeah, no, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Like, you got to make sure you take care of yourself. Absolutely.
It's like I say about Wizard Staff. It's like I say about Wizard Staff. It's a long game. You don't drink them really quick. You'll lose. You have to do it long and slow. That's how you build up the levels.
Yes.
But
how you maximize.
Oh my goodness.
What I'm hearing is next NLCC I get down.
Yeah. No, Bye, Mowgli. Thank you for stopping by and supporting this stream. Really appreciate it. Thank you for all the work you do for Trials and for everything. I mean, local Belegarth up here in Washington, he's definitely one of the guys, as far as like, when you think about local Washington Belegarth and where it's been and where it has been going to, like, I'm not the only one pushing towards a greater Washington Belegarth scene. It is also Mowgli, and it is also a lot of other people behind us.
It takes a team, right? It takes a community to build, right? A better community, that is.
For sure. Yep.
I know, personally, my events would never be as successful as they are without the team that I've had with me, right? Whether that team is constantly changing or not.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that before you came in, about building that team and delegating and learning that you need the help. You can't do it all yourself. So it's a very important lesson, and I'm glad you've also learned it. You probably wouldn't have been running events for so long if you didn't learn that lesson. Or you would have been burnt out and you would have not been here.
So a fun little fact: we have managed to run one of these omens with the heavy questing on 2 people and 6 volunteers.
Are
Sometimes
they okay?
Life happens. They enjoyed everything.
Okay,
and the random volunteers that stepped up to help during the event to do the small things were phenomenal. Right?
Good. Nice.
Yeah. But thankfully, we still have an amazing community that is here to help whenever possible.
Yeah.
But still, doable with 2.
Noted. Holy crap.
I wouldn't wish that upon anyone.
Anyone? No, that's terrible. Right, and multiply that by 6.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, are you supported? I'd be in their inbox every day. Okay, there's only 2 of you. You guys okay? Are you all right in there?
Well, no, that included me too.
Oh, okay.
Me and one other.
Yeah, no, totally. Then it's like, I'd just be checking in on the other person. It's like, okay, I got this. You got it? Okay. You got what you got over there? All right, cool. I'll take this stack over here. I got it.
Yeah. Thankfully, it was my partner, so we live together.
Wonderful. So you're able to coordinate back and forth.
Right.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that was the first year, so it wasn't as hard. And we definitely had people on the side that eventually were able to be there to help. And, sometimes that's just how events go, too. Mundane life is a thing that exists, and we cannot control that.
No. No control.
Nor would I want to.
Yeah, it's scary out there.
Very scary out there.
So, Dwarf, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second. What in your mind makes up a quintessential Belegarth event? What it?
I'm actually like the worst person, the worst Belegram to ask that question.
But you went to 10 different events in 1 year, so you have a good way to compare what was the similarities, what was the cultural touchstones between the different events. I think out of the three of us, you're the best option here.
True, I've never been to a Belegarth event.
True, I am the most qualified Belegram in the room, seeing as I am the only Belegram in the room. But yeah, no, I'd love to touch on that. At least my opinion. I can't speak for every member of the Belegarth Medieval Combat Society at all, because I have a very differing experience. I came in post-COVID, which is well after a game where things were really different back then from what I hear and what I'm retold and recounted all the time. So I'm a very new school, participant of Belegarth, and the fact that I am very culture and, things like not just arts and science, but like culture as a whole. So like everything communing together. So yes, fighting is important. Arts and science, service and like volunteerism is really rich cornerstones in our overarching community. A lot of people are going to tell you like, yeah, it's all about the fighting. It's all about the fighting, and the good fighting field makes a great Belegarth event. And I think that is not true. I think the best events that I have been to have understanding people, good expectations, good culture, and that comes with people and your surroundings and who are you actually with, right? Because people make the event happen, not fighting makes the event happen. Yes, okay, sure. Because it wouldn't be a Belegarth event without the fight and without the field. I definitely recognize that, but I think some of the best events I have been to, the highlights for me weren't the fighting moments. They were the moments that I was just chilling out in camp and had a really good batch of people around me. And what's really funny when I say that is also more tangibly, right, to answer the question, is how much of the camp is actually around you. So think about that, right? Like, imagine you're at a big event. I don't know have you ever gone to Battle for the Ring? Haven't yet. Okay, so I don't know what would be comparative in your sports, and I'm so sorry, but like
it's okay.
big sites, right? Like big spread out sites. Everybody has a camp pocket to be in, and then once like nightlife kind of occurs and the fighting's done for the day, you kind of just go and like go to your camps and hang out with your camp pocket, right? Those are the worst events for me to go to. I really like it when the event sites are kind of commune together, and we're all embracing and all having each other around, So even if the campsites are just maybe like less spread out kind of thing, but you can go and yell over to your buddy that like is out of a certain unit and be like, hey, hey person, hey bird person over here, like, how's your day today? Like, and having those people have really close proximity and access to, I think is really important, because otherwise, I work so hard at events usually that I don't get to talk to all the people that I would like to. And that's a failed Belegarth event, I guess, from my perspective, though, and my own ability to do things and like manage those things. It's not necessarily the event's fault. But like those bigger sites, sometimes it's just like, man, I have to walk all the way there to go talk to that person. Or, oh man, I haven't seen that person all of this event, and I hope they know I still love them. Like, or, even at Chaos Wars this year, I was kind of ECing, and, which was a huge step up. Like, doing Chaos Wars is one of our biggest, not our biggest, I guess Bitfear would be our biggest Western event right now. But is that a question?
Yeah.
Is that a
what is
phrase?
ECing?
Oh, event coordinating.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't something else.
No, wonderful. But yeah, so like Chaos Wars is our next like biggest step up there, Western event, and it is pretty spread out, pretty big. And I was, like I said, I was running around doing a lot of different things for the event, and there would be people being like, Dwarf from like X amount, like a whole like field away, and I'd be like, what the fuck? Where are you? And it's like person wait. I'm like, I'm doing something right now. I can't come talk to you. I'm so sorry. I love you.
I got things to do.
I got things to do. Places to be.
I'd love to ramble.
Oh gosh. But again, that's like a me problem kind of thing. So that's not really on the event or anything the event can really I guess tangibly have and quantify that success and like make it their own success, because that's just a purely like me thing. It's just like, oh yeah, no, I wish this event was smaller. Who wishes for that? Like no, so but honestly, like I think balance then is definitely what makes a good Belegarth event. Something that is like, you know, because there's definitely actually too much there is such a thing as too much saturation of like cultural items like arts and science or questing, and not enough field focus. And then those events have definitely been like, oh well, I wish I could fight more at this event. This is kind of weird. Like I don't know about that. So having that balance where everyone is happy, everyone's able to interact with the things that they want to interact with, that's I think what makes really a great Belegarth event in our community, because nobody goes wanting, you know, oh, you've, you know, added this accessibility for arts and science, or you've added this these certain workshops or meetings, and genuinely, like, you know, there are events that have like full, you know, meetings at them, and it's like, oh, that's a cool thing that people want to, you know, get on the same page about certain topic items that are important to our community. Obviously then the fighting, obviously I said arts and science, but then obviously also like questing and intrigue items, like the, because like I said, the lack of that lately has been like, oh, you know, this is a good event, but like where's the zhuzh, where's the sauce here?
Please.
There's something missing. And that is definitely something that old school Belegram are like, what are you talking about? We don't need any of that. But I think it's important. I think it's important to have a lot of different aspects, a lot of, you know, having a full plate of food, and you want every, you know, kind of food category and everything in a balance and everything in moderation. And knowing that balance is hard. And that balance is actually going to be, some people need higher protein diets, some people need more carbohydrates, right? It's going to depend, but formulate what your event participants are expecting of you, of, you know, of everybody that's coming to trials, for example. You know I had Idaho and Montana who have helped me essentially, like, they are like founding in like this intrigue aspect that I brought over further west. You know, that wasn't really a huge thing necessarily, let's say, in like Battle for the Ring, so Southern California. You know, it's been always like, oh, we have tournament fighting, field fighting, arts and science is included, but we don't have this intrigue sauce here, you know. So now I'm just rambling at this point, but exactly that, just balance, moderation, you know, catering to what your strengths are and what people coming to the event, like, you know, just FaceTime is really important. You know, you mentioned actually in the vlog, Baelnorn, how I was checking in on you and seeing what and gauging what your expectations were. Did I meet expectations? Am I failing at some point? Like, you know, like getting, and we come from two very different games, so it's like, why would that matter to me? But it does, you know. And I think having that, I guess, like that almost emotional intelligence for what people want is very important and makes an event for sure.
Yeah.
My checks out.
my Belegath experience is mostly just Western wars, and I wouldn't say I've been there a lot, but it has definitely changed since the first time I went. I think I went to the first, or number 8 was my first time I went, and I've gone to a couple every other year or so. And before there was like hanging out, drinking. That's cool. I didn't get there for the fighting very much the first time, but like now there's like a nightlife. There's the people have decided they want to do more, and over the years I've seen it evolve in Western Wars, and so I think that you're right about that, and other people have caught on. Another thing, you're talking about the spread out camps and stuff like that. One thing that I heard repeatedly when they did Western Wars last year at the Voyage Center in Oregon was that the camps were way too divided, and they just didn't like that some of the people had to go to the top of the hill, so he had to go to the bottom of the hill, and that was the biggest complaint I think I overheard people talking
Nobody wanted to go up that hill. That hill was atrocious.
Oh, it's horrible. Like in Amtgard, if people have that, if we're up there in Amtgard, people just stay up there all night, and just there's a bigger divide. Amtgard is. Sure. We talk about Amtgard culture too, but
you just pass out up there. It's fine.
Yeah, but you were touching on something like who wants a smaller event. A lot of people actually enjoy those smaller events when they happen. Like, provided people like love the big events with the fighting, and you get 100 versus 100 people, and it's all crazy and stuff like that. But what people remember a lot of the time is the cultural stuff, the stuff that happens after the field, where they get to have conversations with each other and meet new people and bond over something other than hitting each other. And facilitating that, like you did at your event and some of the more recent Western Wars, helps reinforce the cultural aspect that I think people don't realize that they actually want sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's really good that it's going on for both. Our Amtgard also has upped their game in some non-combat activities. So it's nice to see that it's like happening in both of our games at the same time.
It's crazy. People like to have a good time, and stories are truly made by just going out and having fun with stuff.
Yeah.
And that fun doesn't always have to come from whacking people.
No.
Granted, there's going to be good stories from the battlefield, but truly, like, I think more unique memories come out of just doing stuff, even if it's non-combat-y, right? You make so many cool stories, and you listen to stories from like myself, from my predecessors in this game. Majority of those stories come from one of two things: questing, or one of three things: nightlife, or really, really unique battle games. Yeah. It's one of the three. Not very often do I have a story coming out of a tournament, right? Nobody's like, "Oh, I whacked that guy really good." And that, I mean, as a perspective, I'm a tournament fighter in our game. I'm 3 orders away from a masterhood at this point, which is like out from 1 to 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I definitely think it's something that even every game is missing, right? Once you start adding it, you definitely start to facilitate that culture of interaction.
Yes.
Which is why I also totally agree with the closer knit camps. You see your neighbor when you get up in the morning. You get to go, "Oh my God, yes, we did all this stuff yesterday. What did you do?" Blah, 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 blah. Instead of being
I was
so
there.
Exactly.
Right? I was right on top of you when that not right on top of you, but I was right there next to you when that was happening, and we have shared experience with that inclusion right there and that event. I think also what you touched on, like, right, like I don't have a lot of memories of the field because I'm only 2 and some change years into my sport, and like I don't really do cool stuff on the field. But anytime I hear other veterans though that are talking about the field and what they remember, especially in Belegarth, you have the things that they remember about the field are negative aspects, like, oh, this guy like got overheated and like passed out and whatever, or this guy got this guy got like super aggressive on the field, and he started swinging his red really hard and dangerously, and we had to get him off the field. Or my favorite, in a similar vein, is at an event. I won't say which event because it's been like a fixed issue. It's a non-issue now, thankfully. But like at this event, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I have two veterans that tell this story back and forth all the time. There was a bridge battle at this event, and it was a bridge. You know, it was just it was a bridge. It was a narrow crossing way for two sides, and there was apparently multiple bridges, I think. But whatever bridge they were on or they were seeing, a lot of people were just getting agitated and fighting unsafely and really wailing on people that were already dead and just trying to like huddle under shields and like just survive at that point. And like that's that's like the memory, you know, of my realm that gets passed around all the time, that I'll never forget it. I wasn't even there. But it was like a super scary experience, and it's like, no, I don't want memories like that. I want to have good memories of, you know, waking up and like, you know, looking at my neighbor and saying, oh yeah, that was really cool last night, wasn't it? Like, you know, whatever was going on, like I can't.
I would 10 out of 10 rather hear about, here, I'll use an example, a dance battle that started over a territory in one of our events. I will take that 10 out of 10 over,
Any day.
I almost got trampled and almost died.
Or even cool, I did this really cool backflip kill shot, and even that positive moment that was really cool for just one person. But now that dance battle that happened, that was cool for multiple people. Like that was cool for everybody that was there to see it.
Right.
I think
those are the things we love.
Going back to the smaller events a little bit, it reminded me of the first event I ever ran. It was House Gravy Campout, because I was in a household. My household was me and a couple people. We rented a group campsite at a local park in Oregon. There's maybe 30 people that showed up, and it was probably one of the most memorable events for me, and for the people involved. It was remembered for multiple Amtgard generations of people coming into the game, and some of it became legend. I think it's all completely died out, and no one talks about it anymore. But it lasted probably like 10 or 15 years. Just this 30-person camp out, people had stories from, and it wasn't about the fighting, because the fighting was atrocious. We had no real field to fight in. We did a quest on a trail, and we had a feast. Some people played poker, and there was a lot of drinking. I learned a lot in that event, but it was very small and memorable.
And, you know, sometimes the smaller events really can be those. Like, you know, I do, even though Omens, for example, is ever growing, I am still kind of on the smaller side of things, because it's not massive. It's not a 300-person event where, trust me, I would love to run a 300-person event where, like, we're still doing all this questing stuff, but that would be wild. And I'm sure to some degree it wouldn't be the same interactions happening, right? Maybe we'll see where the future goes. But I definitely I know these small events, like our early Omens event, had so many wonderful stories that came out of it. And part of that is just because you have only a handful of people that are interacting with each other. So something has to come of that.
Well, I think it's really important that
Oh, I'm going to mention something, but it's not crazy.
Oh, well, what I was going to say is also not crazy. So if you had something on topic, go for it.
Oh, we had a few years there of some awesome stories traveling through. At one point, started to travel through Amtgard, and I was so tickled to hear that this happened. Our old site, we used to have an event every year called The Climb. So in hindsight, this is very unsafe. On the one half of the property, we have big, how to put it, rolling hills in our area. Kind of resembling kind of how Utah can be with hoodoos, if that makes sense. So they go very, very steep and very, very tall. At one of these, it was across the site from our event, and it was probably like 10 or 12 km of just trekking through bush, and we played a battle game where it was the first to get up to the top of it wins the thing. So we would battle game up of it, up the climb. So you'd have things like people casting spells at each other, including like the shove spell where you have to go 20 feet. And sometimes it was like, where do we go? Because this is sketchy. But at the top of it, what really I think ended up creating the story is your real reward for finishing it was that there's pictographs from the native people of the land up there. Which we were very lucky. We were able to bring a few of the One Grind Nations up to it, people, and they got to see it and kind of experience a little bit of the climb. Not as much of the fighting on the way there, because a little sketchy. We have lots of rattlesnakes here. But definitely amazing stories came out of that, and that was still when the event was probably like 60 people and under, give or take.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry your event was too big to have the small atmosphere, Dwarf. Too successful. My bad.
Too successful. Yeah, stop being so good at what you're doing. Blah.
Well, what's actually really funny, actually still on topic, when I was going through the like developmental process of like, what do I need to do to run an event, right? Okay, I need a site. And I had scouted Kitsap Memorial State Park where it's held at a number of times, very numerous, and I had been there before. And I was like, huh, yeah, I can hold this entire event just on this group site, I think. And Baelnorn can shake his head and be like, yeah, no, that was never going to happen with the amount of people that you got there.
Yeah.
That was like if Trials of the Pacific Maine had an interest of maybe like 30 people tops, maybe I could, because there's like one corner that is pretty big, or at least sizable enough for a battlefield. But yeah, no, that was all Tent City, because that ended up being Emerald Coast Camp, my neck of the woods where I come from, and just packed to the gills with people from our area, and then the rest of the campsite was packed to the gills from our area. So I'm really glad that somebody said, oh hey, like you should get in touch with the park and see if we can actually like use the park access, not just the group site. And I was like, that sounds really intimidating, let's try that, I guess. And then it very much behooved us. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I could not imagine running that event, because that was like kind of like in my I had made a mission statement, right? I was prior service military, so like everything had a draft plan and like a whole like report and operational risk management and stuff like that. And a lot of my disclosures in the first written documents for running trials was this is going to be a really small event, and a lot of people should be warned that this is going to be more of an intrigue thing rather than, and like how was touched on earlier, mostly an intrigue thing, not a like actual like
classic
standard and classic Belegarth event. So originally that was actually the idea, but then a lot of old school people were like, no, you should probably expand this a little bit, and like didn't give me a way how, but like I found the way how, and I was just like, okay, yeah, let's try it, we'll see.
Well, I'm glad that they convinced you to reach out a little bit and get that that field, because that wouldn't have worked out very well.
No, not with the amount of people we had. Like I said, if I literally like was like, okay, only 40 people can come, and then I would have been like, yeah, now my event's like stunted forever because of that. So no, definitely was a really good move. Like I said, really early, I actually had even forgot that had happened. I was just like, yeah, no, I think I could make this work. No, I don't think that's gonna work. And no, people were more like, not that, no, that's not gonna work, but like it was kind of like, oh hey, well what if we did this and had access to this? And I was like, oh okay, yeah, let me reach out and see how that would work. And then sure shit, it was like just a special event permit or whatever, and it's like, okay, map out and like draw a little map for us and say how much of this field you want or whatever. And I was like, cool, bet. And it was very seamless. It was just some event insurance later, and I think that was really the major unintended thing, I guess, but that was really not a big deal once, I had so many people actually come to this thing.
Yeah.
That is the silver lining of more numbers. It means more fun things you can also do.
Exactly.
I think that's been one of the unique things of a growing event is being also every time we grow, it also means we can grow what we can do with the event. Like this year, I think it works out to being like 1,000 coins being printed out as a currency system by a local Amtgarder as well.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and
3D
it's
printers are
going to be
nice.
rad. Are you familiar with like Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, of course.
Perfect. It's the like Forgotten Realm currency as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
a little bit more unique.
Oh, fun.
I don't have my tester around here, but I've got a handful of the coins.
Are they like 3D printing it or like actually minting coins or
3D printing.
some of the
I would
3D?
love to do minted. Oh,
Yeah, oh my god, that would be so expensive. But yeah,
I've got
3D
a guy.
printing like definitely can work out though, depending on their printer. I just actually I feel like I was everywhere but nowhere at the same time yesterday. But I also have an experience yesterday. I visited a buddy's house and one of his roommates was showing me his 3D printer and he like showed me like this really cool thing and I was like, this is not what normal 3D printer creations look like. Like this is really cool.
Some can be
And
very slick and like
yeah,
really perfect quality. Like a lot of the resin printers, they do such cool work. Oh my god. A buddy of mine is getting a 3D printer. He works for like a school. And the printing plate is 5 feet.
wow.
And
That's huge.
yeah, so it can print basically 5 by 5 cubic.
5 by
The
5.
prop,
Wow.
the props that could come with that. Oh my god.
Oh, that's intense. That's crazy. I love that.
I look forward to seeing
Right?
what happens.
Probably not
Oh,
for this year, but
all right.
I'm definitely excited to have that as something in my wheelhouse that I'll, to some
Love
degree,
that.
have access to.
Super cool. Super
Right?
cool. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Uh, that's been the probably one of the coolest things getting into doing more questy stuff and the future we live in now comparatively to when I started Amtgard. Um, Props can just be made so simply comparatively, right? Like
Mhm.
making cool fantasy themed 3D things is a breeze comparatively to what it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, no
That's like even
kidding.
these coins, you know, they could be mass produced for not a crazy amount of money either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, actually, that's pretty like guy yesterday was telling me like, yeah, I could print, this thing and he showed me like a thing about coin sized, a little bit larger than coin size. It's like, yeah, that's only like about 6 cents worth of filament. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Right?
And I was like,
It's
all right, why
crazy,
not? Okay, got it.
right?
He
And
is I just ordered tokens. I didn't have access
Hmm.
to a 3D printer, but I just got some artwork, threw it up, and it was like little tokens like that, gold and silver for currency. It had branded
Yeah.
the event theme on each coin for each year, but yeah,
ooh,
if
I
I had
Easy.
access
wonder
to a 3D printer, it'd be a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
if I might have some of last year's stuff around. So how we designated who was going to be on each faction was there were 4 coins, each one color of each different like what's the word I'm looking for? So like August, spring, winter, summer. So the different courts within like let's say the Feywilds. When you went into gate, you got a coin, and it would dictate where you went. And we have a dresser here filled with really cool things. So I'll see if I can find one. If not, I might even be able to harass my partner. They're super cool. We did the name of the event on the front, and then on the back, the year. And, or sorry, name of the event and the year, and then the imagery on the back. which I couldn't find those, but I did find something else that's kind of cool. So I mentioned earlier we did different equipment card and stuff. So this is...
Oh, nice.
It's going to be hard to see.
Anti-paladin,
adjust my
class
lighting.
card. I see it.
Yeah. We were giving people availability to a secondary class, and this is how we did it. In our old heraldry. Oh. No. So our old parts heraldry, and then the event itself. And then these were all, what is it called? Plastic. There's a better name for it. My brain's pretty mush. I've been out in the heat all day.
Understandable.
Laminated?
But yes, thank you. That's the word. Oh, no, that is a 3D printed coin, but not the correct one. All the knickknacks.
Did you just get business cards printed with that, or how did you?
So what we did is we used a Adobe program, and it has an option for making cards in it. So basically, we printed them all off and gave them a unique background, that kind of stuff, and then they're fold-over style. So we created the front, created the back, printed it out, and then laminated them all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Business cards is a good way. This was a little bit cheaper.
Oh.
Yeah,
more time-consuming, but definitely a little bit cheaper.
My first year that I did my LARP event, I had made props out of foam, like wood, stone, and iron. But those disappeared over the years. So the last time I ran a day event for this world that I created, I ended up just getting business cards, and I had it printed the resources on them. So I had like resource cards. So I still have a whole bunch of those left over. But yeah, it was a little expensive, but it was a lot easier than trying to print them out for me.
I'm definitely glad that I had a lot of help. We got a few people over to the house one day, and we're just like, okay, craft day. By craft day, we mean lamination. Because I think we had a grand total of I think 100 of each category of weapon in cards, just in case. So for example, we had like short sword, and there'd be 100 short sword cards, long sword, great weapon, so on and so forth. Just in case, because it's better to have more than it is to have less.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And you spread out 20 short sword cards or 20 long sword cards over 40 people. That's actually almost all of them used up.
So,
not including the ones. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to switch topics slightly to something that Dwarf had talked about a little bit earlier when he had, was starting the Trials of Pacific Maine. You created a brief. What I forget exactly what you called it.
Yeah, it was kind of like a brief or a what did I call it? Like oh my gosh. Play it back. I don't know. Like I forgot. I had a word for it, and I was just like, oh yeah, no, it was a good word. Like an action plan, or like a mission statement.
Mission statement.
Yeah.
That is the word I used earlier. At least where I, at least created. The purpose of this is how we're going to do it. Whatever the hell else comes after that. Yeah. So,
was there any difference when? I'm assuming you made another one when you started planning for the second year. What changed between the first year and the second year when you sat down and you said, "Okay, I need to start playing this year"? What was your first? What was the big differences that you could recall?
So it's actually really funny you asked that question. So my first purpose, like my first mission statement, the purpose was like. A really nicely worded letter to the realm, essentially, like calling them to why this should be important to you, right? Like this, and all the things I mentioned earlier, like I want to bring like cultural like change to Washington and have more culture here. I want to bring more event culture and therefore an event to Washington. We hadn't had one before in recent memory of years. And it was like this really nicely worded thing. This year's document, I literally was just like, I don't know, like, what do I even put here? Because it's just like, do it again, but better. So it's literally Dwarf again. Why? and I actually failed to answer why again. But I think it's funny because like that document hasn't actually been, the second document hasn't had to be released to anybody because it didn't have to be briefed to anyone. People just kind of were like, oh yeah, let's do it again. Like, that's not an issue. Like, oh, we're gonna do it again in August. Okay, we have questions about that, and why did you do that? But like, other than that, it was a no-brainer that we were gonna do trials again.
Right. So since you didn't really make the document because you didn't really need the document for the second year, what was some of the first steps that you started to do for planning the year, I guess, in general?
Great question, actually. So I started this year a little bit behind. I knew that trials was going to happen again. We just weren't sure when. A lot of people were asking me, like, when is it going to happen? You said something about, like, maybe moving to summer since a lot of Big Daddy Shark events, like, moved earlier in the year. That meant I could kind of encroach on later season events. But quite honestly, like my head was pretty stuck far up my ass as far as like my post event drop after trials put me out. I was like, I don't want to think about it. I respect that you asked me this question, but I can't think about this right now. And unfortunately, I couldn't think about it until it was almost too late. And I was looking at dates. I finally like got a fire. I was like, wait, I need to check to make sure, when is Kitsap Memorial State Park available? Is it too late? Can I still do what I needed with all the sites and book, not only the group site, but all of the other sites that I wanted to be able to extend our capacity, like was at least in the forefront. That was at least a part of the plan that I was like, yeah, that needs to happen. But definitely like the first portion of it was like having that fire lit under my ass moment. Like, wait, we're going to lose this site if I don't act now. Looked it up on the Washington, reservation site, because it's a state park. And literally I booked us pretty much the last date in August, which really, when you think about the summer, right, you think like August is really like kind of the last month of the summer, honestly. Even though September is mostly summer, but you kind of start feeling like it's fall season by that time. So it was just a stroke of sheer luck, right, that I like had this moment where it's like, okay, I need to actually like do this. And then unfortunately for everybody else, it was really sudden because it was like 1 second I was booking the date because I finally was able to. I didn't really have an option. It's kind of like a now or never trigger pull, right? And I don't have time to really ask anybody if they would like to do this. I just knew, all right, this is something we have to do at this point. Otherwise, we're risking October again. And I already went into the whole rain situation and why I wasn't planning on doing that again, and why I don't think anyone else would be planning to do that again anytime soon, right? So once I reserved it, the next step for me was letting everybody know, hey, I booked it. It's happening. And like I said, a lot of people were like, Dwarf, you didn't talk to us about this. What's going on? Like, oh no. And I was just like, yeah, sorry guys. Like, I kind of really did. I like screwed the pooch on this one. Like, where it was just like, yeah, I did not have the energy until this moment. And now that this moment is here, this is the only moment we have if we want to, I guess, stay relevant and be able to take point in the summer. Because then a lot of other events actually they scheduled, thankfully not on top of me, but right around me. There's an event actually, there's 2 events in Montana in August, and one of them is the 1st to the 4th. My event is then the 22nd to the 26th, and then the literal next, so I don't know when the weekend starts, but it's the very next weekend that starts in August but like ends in September, is another Montana event that is much more historic and bigger than, and not necessarily bigger population wise, but very much more historic and rooted than we are. And I was like, oh no. But exactly that. At least word had gotten out to most people, other than those Montana realms, or at least that particular Montana realm for whatever reason, unfortunately. And most people knew, oh yeah, Trials is going to be in August this year, and it's going to be in late August, so we better figure it out. And actually, so no other events that I was tracking actually did get scheduled this year, which made it then that much easier, I guess, for us to actually take this location on the schedule and on the calendar itinerary. So once, kind of notification went out and the Facebook page got like crafted and drafted, so that way it's just, forever there, like, hey, this is happening this time and place, share it to a few people, have that happen. And then from there, I actually got really, I got started on then the application process really early for our state park, to make sure that that was going to be okay for them, which they got back to me in good time and said, hey, yeah, no, you're good and cleared. I think they got back to me actually in March. I forget when I put in the application. I think it was about January, I want to say. I put in the application, and then by March they had it back to me like, oh yeah, you're cleared for it, you're all good. And then once that was cleared, I think at that point, yeah, it was, so planning really didn't get too heavy until now. So I was doing a lot of Chaos Wars planning, because like I was telling you, I was doing a lot of the event coordination on the marketing side for Chaos Wars this year, which took preparation time, I think, from Trials of the Pacific Maine, unfortunately, this year. But I think it's something that can still be, there was a lot of productivity within the last 2 weeks since I've been home from Chaos Wars that I'm like, oh, okay, I'm back on track now. Yeah, I was like 16/7 tech support and like, public relations support and everything else support for Trials, but that was at least something I feel like I'm really genuinely caught up with now.
Well, that's good. I mean, the fact that you got the site makes everything else that you have to do, easy. You can crunch it a lot more effectively, because it's not as time sensitive, unless you have to get porta potties and or something like that, where there is more time sensitive things you have to organize. But generally speaking, schedule and events, you can crunch that out later than you maybe should probably be doing, but
a little more comfortable with, right? And sometimes that just happens. Thankfully that is content that can be crunched out if need be, but like, getting your insurance, getting your porta potties, getting your site, those are like the time sensitive ones for sure.
For sure, to make sure it all is actually even happening. Also, what I forgot to mention was that I actually did, talking about delegation, I totally forgot about my team this year, right? The worst. I'm the worst ever. But my team this year got situated. I think once I booked the date, I was like, hey, I'm looking for a team this year, because everything was a lot last year. You guys saw it yourselves. All of the, essentially it was like an open like hiring window of like, hey, I'm looking for these positions, and I listed all the departments that I wanted filled. And I put it out to the Emerald Coast first, so my entire like realm conglomerate pocket area, and people were coming in and being like, oh, I'd be interested in this, that, or the other thing. And most people were just like instantaneous, like, oh yeah, I know you can do the job, let's fill it. I made actually, taking inspiration from Battle for the Ring this year, since I was a part of staff for it this year, I got to see their staff Discord. So there was an entire event Discord dedicated to staff and staff infrastructure and staff discussions and planning and all these other things. And I saw it again for Chaos Wars. But I definitely was like, oh, I like that idea. I like a place that we can all collaborate and where we're all able to be reached at the same at the same place. We can all see then the information that's being disseminated out. So I made a TPM Discord for, at first it was for like my 12 other heads of departments, but now they've filtered through and been like, oh, okay, I really want to add so-and-so. They're going to help me with my department. And I said, yeah, the more the merrier. Let's get some. Then I gave them support staff titles, and they're essentially an extension of staff then, because I know those people are going to take on roles and take on more than the average volunteer as far as shifts are concerned.
Discord is a really good tool.
Step forward.
Yeah,
for sure.
I noticed I went down to an event called Known World War down like Kansas City area for Amtgard, and their entire team was using a Discord format, and I'm like, this just makes sense. It is so much more organized and utilizing akin to like Facebook for it. Things get lost so incredibly simply, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I want to utilize for the future, because why not? You also then have a place where all of your information stays there for even the future events for people to look back on.
Yep.
And you just create now a resource for the future.
Completely.
The problem with that is Amtgard is very entrenched in Facebook. It's hard to get people to use Discord on a larger scale, and at least it has been in our area. But it's definitely a better tool than Facebook for sure.
And I know, like, our park is pretty much a Discord park at these days.
Oh, nice.
Like, just so many more people use it. I don't know if you've been to our Discord lately, but it got a glow up because we have a Discord, like, wizard that showed up out of the blue.
Fucking cool.
What's a Discord wizard?
I don't know, but he's magical, that's for sure.
Somebody who knows all the bots and all the roles and all the stuff. Yeah, absolutely. I know what you're talking about, though.
Okay. Yeah. So it's really cool. He, like, used to play Amtgard back in, like, 2004 out of a park called Cage Valley. And he quit for a long time, and then he actually randomly found our Discord online by searching through Amtgard, right? And he joined up, and he was like, I like what you're doing here. Would you like help?
That's cool.
And just
I love that.
completely helped us revamp everything, and definitely brought us into the future of utilizing Discord better.
Nice.
And our park was already on the way. Like, majority of our members are people who use Discord comparatively to Facebook anyways. So, yeah, and it's been working great. As far as it goes with, like, Amtgard interlocking, I think Discord is in such a much better place than it was 10 years ago. Yeah. Right? You can interact with other servers so much easier than you could before. We have a whole section linking to different kingdoms, obviously including our own. And these days you can cross-post between different Discord pages. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it's the way of the future for our game as well.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I know, right? This Discord wizard taught me so much.
That's kind of cool.
Right?
I dig that.
Oh, it's super rad. The future is nigh, and I can't wait to use it for events, because you can just interact so much more in Discord now. You can create full form posting, and like, you can send, for example, we have our event coming up. Well, now we have an easier way to spread it amongst the Discord channels as well. Opposed to before, when, Connor just have to go to each individual one and, like, hard copy paste things down. Now you can just spread it super quick and easy like wildfire. Wow. Hey, sweet.
I was very sold on Discord when they introduced the forum format. That's what sold it for me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely a huge positive change. And even more interactions within communities. There's a thing called Disboard. It's a community platform where you can basically, hello. Oh yes, here we go, some coin. I might have to turn the light back on for this.
I see him.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you. Aw.
Ooh.
Oh.
Nice.
Yep.
Then on the back. I'm so bad at this.
There we go. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Back to turning off the lights. Yeah.
Cool.
Then we did like achievement coins for people that completed, like, I think it was all the side quests or the whole main quest. So it has the Viridian Outlands Kingdom heraldry on it. And then once again, just the date and the name.
Love it.
But
yeah, we had it for a second there.
That achievement coin reminded me of something that I always wanted to do for my own event. I never got around to being able to do it. Was kind of like achievements, but like having a Boy Scout badge, like sash, and you earn embroidered patches that you could sew onto it'd be like a belt favor probably or something like that. Like, oh, you did that year, so you got that patch, so you can show it off whenever you want to. But it was one of the future goals to get to. But that coin reminded me of that.
That's kind of the goal with it. I would love to do it again for this year. Something that I took a lot of inspiration from for doing this event as well. I should have mentioned earlier. So there's a really cool airsoft game. So it happens yearly called RAV. It is done by Balasac Airsoft or something like that, or Swamp Sniper, I think is his YouTube tag. But they run a yearly airsoft event, and I kid you not, it is just a quest event. They do it like apocalyptic questing and stuff, and it's what gave me like the biggest inspiration to do this event. I highly recommend checking it out if you're into questy fun stuff. They have really cool props, and like it's super rad. One thing that they do, and what kind of got me towards doing something like this, is they have, let's say, important key mini quests that they do throughout the day. For everyone that you complete, you get a gold token or a metal token of some sort, and it's an achievement point. So we've kind of started following that bandwagon to some degree. Last year, we, once again, because we like to try out new things every event, we brought in character sheets. And in those character sheets, we had the names of quests that players had to complete to get a extra boon or an achievement point to some degree. And some of those things also had to be like interacting with different NPCs or the merchants or this or the Krat team. Just achievements that people could do alongside keeping track of what their character had on them, because we're running a currency system or a equipment system where you have all these unique cards that are affecting your character, right? So a little bit of organization, a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
welcome back.
Yes, welcome back.
Very sneaky. I didn't even see her coming.
No.
Never.
So, thinking about the future, Dwarf, and maybe you can't answer this because you're deep in the planning for this next year, but what do you think about, what are your kind of like future plans beyond the second year for the event that you're running? Or if you want to run another event and have two events.
Oh my gosh. So that, right? I think people would kill me if I tried to run another event. And trust me, I was very tempted when I saw the site that I saw the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, this would be perfect for an event that somebody else ran, but it was more like a indoor, primarily like just really court. It was a court event essentially for our sport, which was something that had never been done really entirely before. And like this site like had a room, and it had the exact same dimensions of the ballroom. Like it was just this really narrow room, but it had a bunch of tables that it could fit, and it was like, I was like, whoa, deja vu moment. Like I feel like I'm back in that space again. So I really did. I had like, oh, everybody keeps asking me about Yule Ball. Like I should just go and do like a Yule Ball for like the local region, and
do it.
because exactly that. Unfortunately, that event isn't happening again this year. It was supremely high cost, understandably, and I already got in touch with like Idaho people who ran it, and I was like, hey, like, are you like thinking maybe like, you know, we can like take turns running this kind of thing? Would you be open to that? So we're in talks about that, kind of. Not really.
Or come together for it, right?
Or come together for it, exactly. Yeah. That kind of and again, this is all in the course of 24 hours, right? Like, because then I also got proposed, like, hey, would you like to run this really big, like, Western Belegarth event in the next few years and start interning for that? And I'm like, that's a big thing. Like, that's crazy. So I won't say too much on that. I really, it's something I am considering. I have considered before. And it was really just one of those things that, like, why did this come up? This is so weird. So now I'm just exhausted thinking about it. And exactly that. I told that person, hey, I've been really willing to talk and consider that, but I got to be good to myself first, and I got to be very good to the people around me. I have to make sure, you know, because maybe in a few years or something, maybe I do move on to event coordinate and head EC for a bigger event, Western event. That requires more of my attention. Maybe one day the torch will be passed on and Trials of the Pacific Maine will be headed by somebody else. You know, those are all questions that have come up in the last like 24 hours, and it's really like crazy to think about. Where we actually were just doing a local event, a local day event last week, and a lot of people came up to me and it's like, oh, I'm so proud of you and like everything you've achieved and everything that you've brought to enrich our community and our local, you know, everything that I've always said times 10, that like that's my job. And like what I really love getting out of this sport is bringing culture to everyone, you know, essentially. And it's obvious to me that I have so much more support than I had last year with running Trials of the Pacific Maine, and it's only, I think, growing and mounting. And the more people that come, the more my locality sees and believes in this vision, more and more each time, I think. And I think this year the support has been astronomical. You know, so for the future moving forward, I definitely want to fine tune that staff structure so that I can put more trust in not necessarily more people, but like I want to put trust in people so that they can feel empowered to really run this event. So all I have to do one day is like, all right, the event's paid, the site's picked out, the event is paid for, the insurance is done. Let me know if you need anything. I'll obviously be there at the event to do the more manager stuff, but other than that, like, you guys have it. And you know, obviously, man and hire all of those people that are involved in doing, and you know, give them the training that I have to make sure that event does run smoothly, not just be like, okay, you had it, I got it, bye. And try my best not to do that if there's something else that demands my attention elsewhere. I think the future, though, at least, like, you know, I think that's farther away. Hopefully, I keep saying that things are farther away than they seem, and then it's like, oh god, it's in the review. Oh no.
Suddenly it's here. EGOTs.
Suddenly now it's like, yeah, I'm running this big Western Belegarth event in like the next 2 years. Oh no, what do I do? What does everybody else do? I think as long as I get that good infrastructure going for trials, I think I should be able to run both effectively and train somebody else to do a lot of cool stuff so that one day, you know, maybe Trials of the Pacific Maine might not need me at all. Maybe it'll just be one of those things that stays at a certain size one day. Maybe it'll stop at like 150 this year, or maybe it'll continue and go to 500. Who knows?
That'd be so good.
The future is unclear, you know, and I really do. I have to be on the pivot for everything. And I am, like, my priority is Trials of the Pacific Maine for sure. And I want to make sure that I am good for it. I'm good for the next 5 years to do it, because, you know, there have been times in my 2.25 years of experience in Belegarth, there are times that I've hit a wall and burned myself out more than I'd like to admit. and being able to recover from that, is huge. But like, even not getting there entirely is bigger, and I should be able to manage that better. So I think, a lot of the future of trials really does depend on what the community brings me, honestly, because all I'm really doing is running an event and saying, okay, I'm putting this schedule together. There's these key cornerstone Belegarth things that happen that I'm scheduling. Now, what does the community want to do? I have an activity form that is pushed out, and so far it only got one hit so far, but it actually turned into somebody else running an official tournament for us, a 5v5 tournament that was actually pushed out on the Facebook page today, which we're all really excited about. It's somebody from Middle or South California who's running this for us, and is a huge name in our community, and I'm super glad that she's on the case for it. So I think really Trials has the ability to be as big as the community wants it to be, because at the end of the day, I'm going to just do not the bare minimum. I'm going to increase the stakes every time in some way, shape, or form, as whatever that is. But it is really going to depend on the amount of people. How big does the site get next year? Or in following years predecessing like that population. So yeah, there's a lot of things to consider, for sure.
But you're saying it's going to be for at least 5 years.
Oh, as far as like the longevity of the event itself?
Oh yeah, your involvement. You said you had you didn't say you had a 5-year plan, but you said that you were ready for at least 5 more years. So
I am definitely. I'm so about it. It's my priority. This is like, I am the founding person of this event, and I'm not going to release like a hold of it, I guess, per se, unless I am confident that somebody is ready to.
Yeah,
and that could be forever. Sorry, Runebeard.
No, you're good. You're good.
I was just saying that could be forever, as far as I'm concerned, and aware and ready to take on.
That said, having like a 5-year time frame for put the goal by that end should be to be able to train up the next person or group of people to come and be able to take care of that event and treat it with the care it needs, right? I was very lucky prior to COVID. I was able to work a team up to the point where I did end up having pretty much a year off to some degree, where I could leave in the hands of people and they were able to run it mostly without me being there. I previously to being like a quest heavy event, I tended to, because I'm a cook by trade, not only do like the event coordination, or the, as we tend to call it, the autocrat, I tend to also do feast stuff. So I very much end up having to basically run in from work, because I couldn't get the weekend off and come on feast day and kind of save the day a little bit. But sometimes it just happens, right? A lot of people are not used to cooking for masses, right? It's a tricky thing.
Yeah. Definitely not in my wheelhouse. I'm like, what I am offering to, because I think volunteer and staff appreciation is really important for an event. I have offered at least a staff kitchen to be erected at Trials of the Pacific Maine for staff to utilize, because most of us are going to be hanging out in like a staff camp, actually.
Perfect.
And then there's going to be like a staff kitchen and a 10x20 carport, and it's going to be an amenity that's hooked up to power and all of that. Because exactly that's all I can promise, because otherwise, like, I'm like, a meal plan, what the fuck do I do with that? Like, what? I can't prepare food. Are you crazy? Like, I can do all these other things, and I can't juggle or anything like that, but I can do all these other things for the event. But yeah, no, providing food, providing feast especially, is just not one of them. Yeah, and Luna, Kieran Pagnoni, that's my wife, actually. She is absolutely right. We did not take care, I did not take care of myself last year at Trials, because there was just not that amenity, and I'm like, I'd be damned if I didn't give that to my staff, right? but those are the only people I can promise that amenity to. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, all right, now this kitchen's going to get cramped if other people use it. And also on top of that, like, I wish I could provide food, but I can't. The event, I don't think, is going to profit that much this year because of all the expanding that I did have to do for a very large gap in, I guess, profit margin, I guess, or at least not profit, but at least making and
getting into the green or the yellow, at least.
Getting
right?
Exactly. So it is very much it doesn't matter what the numbers look like this year. I know this is kind of going to be a break even kind of year, I think.
That's not a bad thing, right? Like,
yeah.
That's
the main thing is that it's there, in my opinion, and that it happened.
Yeah. Because even if you don't make money on an event, that doesn't mean it's bad, right? That's something I've had to learn. Like, I've only had one event where we didn't profit a fair amount, and I definitely had to take a step back and go, okay, there's reasons for this. There were unexpected things. It's not bad because it's red. Everybody still had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is.
At the end of the day, our organizations don't run these events for profit. We run it for a good time. So even if you lose money, as long as you're able to have enough money to have the next year continue, it's fine financially in my book.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I could not agree more. Like, that's absolutely what it's all about.
Right. And also, your wife brings up a great point. Take care of yourself at events.
Oh my gosh.
I'm bad for it too. I think our last year I cooked for all my entire crat team and our actors. And I think I had like 3 total meals during the event.
This
Not worth it. It's
this is a common theme for event runners and and volunteers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We won't eat. We'll just be like, yeah, no, I'm busy sustaining myself off of the sheer excitement of, running around and doing all the things all the time. And then it's suddenly like, wait, but I didn't take care of myself. My body needs more than just that adrenaline and that excitement. It needs to actually, be cared for,
a flat boost and water won't just do it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I think we got a little bit off on a tangent. What was the original question, actually? We started talking about food, and I'm like, oh shit, where was I actually going with this?
Oh no, you finished your point. We were talking about where you see the future of the event.
Wonderful. Okay, good.
So yeah, so maybe it was a tangent, but we were done. So
we were still okay. We finished it. Got it. Yeah.
The food thing actually reminds me of something that I kind of wanted to bring up. Because I'm a food guy. I did a lot of my volunteering cooking when I started in LARP, and there's been a thing where in Amtgard, feasts are really important. I know in some of the Belegarth events I've been to, there aren't a feast, a communal meal where everyone sits down and have a meal. It's been a key part of Amtgard, but there's always people like, that's an expense we don't need. It's not really important. But no one has ever really went and just not done a feast because it's always expected. So when I was running my event, I played around. Oh, did you try that?
I've done that for 2 years now.
For my LARP event, I tried meal plans one year. I tried a main feast every night. I tried a main feast, and I eventually settled on meal plans and a main feast on Saturday night and a main feast on Thursday night, because when I didn't run in a feast on Thursday night, everyone went to their own camp and they were done. But if I organized a meal for Thursday, they'd come, hang out, everyone would sit together, have fun, and then I would have the games and stuff that I had planned. People were staying there for them because that's where they ate the meal at. So
yeah, no kidding. Wow.
It's makes sense.
That's a difference of culture, I think, because Belegarth mainly do hang out together so long as there is light somewhere, I've noticed. Yeah. Because, like you said, feast isn't actually always expected in Belegarth. Feast is something that is an amenity that is hugely appreciated when it does happen. But it's never, at least post-COVID, it hasn't been expected for a number of events that I've been to, and that's just kind of the norm. I'm actually glad we're talking about feast now because, and also coming off the 5-year plan, I actually do. I want to provide a feast, like a real proper feast. Not this year. I don't think it's going to happen at all this year. Like I said, it's not in my wheelhouse, and the right person hasn't come along yet to say that they want to do a full feast, and we don't have the amenity. And maybe next year I'll keep that in mind. And yeah,
people can cook for hundreds of people on some fire pits and some gas stoves. It's
right.
People have the skill.
It's not that hard, but
it's hard.
It's hard. It's hard. It is hard.
Keeping things cold on a site where you don't have much amenities is hard.
Yeah.
That has been like.
I think what creatively we did instead of feast last year, because it is one of those things like I want to be that guy who provides that amenity to people. We didn't really have a feast proper, but at awards and like what would be our court, so just awards, and we did a raffle last year that we were announcing like just different raffle winners for a prize table kind of situation until we were out of prizes. But during that, people had access to desserts, because desserts are at least relatively cheap. They're not necessarily sustaining or good for people, but at least that's like a pretty good spirit boost. Who doesn't like some fucking sugar, you know? Like,
right.
It's the same thing as a feast. It gets people to show up to like, hey, I get an ice cream cone or whatever it is, or a parfait.
Yeah. No, and right, ice cream and hot cocoa socials are actually a really big like this. They're sometimes pretty big at like different other events that I've seen, and I'm like, oh yeah, I would really like to provide that for people. That sounds like a good thing. But yeah, I actually really like that. I kind of like coined this because I hadn't seen anybody else do a dessert feast, but also on the schedule it was written as the Sweet Victory Dessert Feast. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I kind of think that's cute. Just a little fun fact. I don't know. I just thought it was corny.
Corny is the best kind of corn ever.
Oh gosh.
I think definitely the sweet feast, you're onto something. I guess I never really considered it to be a feast, but last year, first year of Into the Feywilds, we did a invite style Fey tea party to start the event, with also some shenanigans tied in. Blah blah blah, and it was very much like bring up tea and then sweets and cakes and stuff like that. That you can hold on to without worrying as much for things going bad, right?
I would be everybody so nervous at absolutely at a Fey tea party. I would be the most nervous person in the room. I am so horribly polite. My wife could actually tell you this. Like in any D&D campaign she's ever run, I always fall for Fey traps. Like I'm just too nice. I'm like, I have really nice characters usually that are just like, no, I will not accept your hospitality. So I always do. I'm the worst. I feel it.
So definitely a place for you to come for the future is what I'm hearing. I cannot wait.
Oh no, I definitely, at least not this year, but I can definitely mark it on my my next year, maybe my next year plan. Maybe that also gets added to a 5-year plan for eventing, but we'll see. It definitely, everything you've been telling me, I'm like, oh, that sounds actually really cool. I'd like to experience that for sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of tangenting off a little bit. One of the goals of the event is the way we set it up is you don't have to have ever played Amtgard to understand what is going on.
That's important.
Yeah, fair. It's very much a new player friendly event. Like, if you know what's going on, perfect. If it's your first day, you can get through everything that's happening without that knowledge.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
Also makes it more inviting to cross gaming.
Yeah. I keep saying, yeah, absolutely. I keep meaning to I've even told Baelnorn, I'm like, oh yeah, cross gaming is definitely on my regimen of things I want to do because Amtgarders are so quick. I just want to, fight with some of the Amtgard folk and maybe get something out of it, and I know I definitely could. That's been definitely suggested to me before.
I think I mentioned this, but there's a day event coming up in the Seattle area. That's a Day of the Ditch, and it's all about fighting. It's just line battles all day, no classes, nothing like that. And so there's getting some of the best foam fighters in Amtgard around the nation, because one of the people, the chosen fighting company, is getting knighted at that event. So like Delos, I don't know if you know Delos, but the One Grain Nation, some of the One Grain Nation people are coming, and they're some of the better fighters. So it would be a really good
coming
chance.
Up for it.
Yeah.
Who's coming up?
Raven the Swift. He's another one of the chosen, or the torches. He's a really rad dude out of the wetlands. So further down,
California.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
So there's a lot of people coming for this day event. It's going to be pretty big.
Noted. Okay.
So if you wanted to see some Amtgard fighting, that would be the time this year to go and try and do it.
Wonderful.
You don't have
100%.
to dedicate a weekend to go, or a whole weekend. It's just a day event. So
yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I'll send you the info later. But
yeah, I think you might have already actually told me about that one.
That's very possible.
Yeah, for sure.
They now have a Facebook.
I wish I could
so
go.
I can invite. So
nice. Okay, good.
I can share that, so it's actually on the calendar. So we're actually it's 11, and normally this is our end time. So did you guys want me to play the vlog again?
Runebeard hasn't seen it. I thought it was really cool, so that Runebeard could actually get a flavor of what was going on over there. So
yeah, we'll play that out. But first, I want to give you guys a chance to plug your guys' events again with the dates, and kind of do a small wrap up, if you want to, of what you'd like to say for the stream. We'll start with Runebeard, since he came in last, and we'll end with Dwarf.
Sweet. Well, my event this year is Omens into the Feywilds, Curing the Wilds. That'll be the theme of this year. It is happening August 9th to August 12th. We have a calendar on our Facebook page. You can find it via searching up Omens into the Feywilds. It shall pop up. We also have a Google Sites website that I have put into ye old YouTube live stream. It's a really cool website. Whether you want to come to the event or not, I recommend checking it out. It gives you a little bit of a past experience of what was happening in the event. It also tackles some of the questions players might have if you are coming to the event, including systems that we're using, because we use a few different unique systems that are not technically Amtgard, but are kind of Amtgard stuff. So it make it a little bit more friendly for everybody. For those coming out, I can't wait to see you. Come for a wonderful adventure into the Feywilds with the rest of us.
All right.
So love that.
I need to make up to Owen sometime. So it's so far from me though. I do have a passport, so I can get there, but it's a drive.
So my night, you've got a full-on bus that's coming up this year. That's easy in if you want.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
That is pretty interesting. Okay,
right. Wow. I'm sure I can get you in touch if you want to go.
Last second, 2 weeks before my event. Okay, I'm out, guys.
That is a wild decision you could have made.
That just sounds like a good idea, as though getting a bus, if there's enough of you that want to go somewhere, that sounds like a really great idea.
Yeah.
That might need to be another discussion, is getting to events and coordinating getting to events. I don't know if we could talk for 3 hours about that, but that sounds like a good topic.
I just spent 30 hours going down to Kansas City via car. We can definitely talk about that.
Right?
And then 30 hours back.
While we're all driving to different events, we'd have that stream. So we're all in the car just driving. The traffic's horrible out.
Right.
We could do it. People would do that.
That's funny.
Car stream. Yeah.
Tell you how much better your flatlands are compared to our flatlands after driving over both of them.
Sorry, I'm going over all these bumps. Fantastic. Yeah, that would be. Oh no, a semi. Yeah. Oh, we couldn't have that stream going to Western Wars. There's no service out there.
No.
At least that's a new site. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, I felt like I wanted to ask you something, Runebeard, but I totally forgot. Oh no.
It could be anything.
Oh, actually, about your, so sorry now to get on a random topic, but I do want to get in touch with you about your Google site, because that sounds really cool and like something I would want to incorporate, because right now Trials of the Pacific Maine is really only, I guess, really majorly interacted with on Facebook and our Facebook event page. So actually, I would really like to hear more about different strategies and stuff like that for getting more information, styles, and sites out there to people.
Totally. And thankfully, it was my wonderful partner, Orla Fitcut, the Forkless Fae, who put it all together.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, I would love to have a chit chat. We can all jump in a call together.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Of course.
Do you want to do our small little outro about Trials of the Pacific
about Trials? Yep. No, for sure. I was just waiting for the, we're good for that. Let's go. Okay. All right. So, Trials of the Pacific Maine is happening August 22nd to 26th in Paulsbo, Washington. The site name is Kitsap Memorial State Park. We have like I said earlier, we have a Facebook event page, and mainly that's the only place that we're really that active. Our pre-registration is through a Google form right now. If anyone needs access to that information, I can tell Baelnorn to post that information, and let's get in touch. I'm also Trevor Pagnoni on Facebook. Oh no, the Fae are gonna get me. I used my real name, but
oh no,
yeah. See, again, I'm the worst. But
you'll end up like Jag.
People are always able to utilize me as a resource to get in touch with my event, essentially, or with the event, and I'm so about it and really welcoming of everybody who wants to come out and give it a try. There's going to be a number of Amtgarders there. There's even going to be some kind of the people who run like LARPs and stuff like that are perhaps interested in coming and checking out Belegarth and our format and our way of doing things as well. So I'm really excited. We're expecting about 140 people probably this year. So it's going to be a very big event for Washington and the Pacific Northwest in general. So I'm really excited to have it. Really excited to have people there. And hopefully I see you soon.
Awesome. I really wish I could attend all the events that I could or I want to this year. I've already missed so many because of mundane reasons, and now I have to miss Trials because of other LARP reasons, because people our schedules conflicted, and it's really, and I had to make a choice. It's really sad because I was really looking forward to it. I was going to get an Airbnb and everything. I even talked to Dwarf earlier about trying to get one of the cabins, but those all got booked up before even he got them. So yeah,
we literally have access to one this year, and it's going to staff. So
yeah, let me set this up really quick as I close the window. But
well, you do that. I just went and found you on Facebook, and your mullet is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. Sorry, my setup is also so dark. I just I have no.
Don't worry, I'm sorry, mine is so messy.
You're fine. Mine would have been a mess if I didn't spend, I think, about 5 hours putting the backdrop up behind me, where it has my nice shield and a little lion guy over here, and there's curtains behind me, which I guess you didn't come in until it was dark out, but if it was light out and I didn't have these curtains, you would have seen a total mess behind me too.
Whoa,
so totally feel that.
The eternal struggle. I'm definitely in my crafting room, or our crafting room, I should say.
I was about to say definitely the crafting room. Machine. I saw the serger earlier, and I was like, oh, that's the crafting room. Got it. It's such a.
There's another machine over here.
There's a ukulele on the wall.
Yeah, we've got so many fun little things that I could just actually. I'll share off this corner. another machine.
Oh, wow.
We've got a bunch of... Oh, I have to invert my controls.
Oh, no. Does that one
Potion
also
bottles?
embroider? That looks like a legit sewing machine. Oh. Maybe I gotta commission you for some stuff. I'm always like looking for cool stuff to hand out.
When I can get it back working, it's been giving me issues lately. The actual CNC portion of it has been a little bit wonky.
Boop.
I'm actually tempted to take it into in my workplace right now. We have a handful of engineers and mechanists or machinists. Mm-hmm. So I was actually talking to my machinist at work, and he's like, "Yeah, I used to help my friend with her sewing business all the time. Because what's the difference between a big CNC machine and an embroidery machine? They're very similar." So he used to do all the maintenance on it for her because he could figure that out.
Rad.
Yeah, right?
Nice. Hopefully you get it fixed.
Yeah,
we'll see. Time and money.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly money.
All right, I think I got it figured out. So if anyone wants to comment in the middle of it, that's perfectly fine. We can talk over it, but I'm going to play this out here.
Do it again. I loved it.
Memorial Park.
You're in for a treat. Love this video.
We are at a Baelnorn
video on the internet
called Trials of the Pacific Maine. It is the first time this event has ever been ran, and it has been ran and organized by a member called Dwarf. I'm here with Gustav in DeVry. We rented an Airbnb because the group site actually filled up, and so there was no camping available. And then the campsite actually filled up outside of the group site, so we couldn't even get one of the yurts or the cabins. So Airbnb, but we're only 10 minutes from site, so it's very nice. There's a lot planned. There's tournaments. There's going to be a whole bunch of field fighting. Journey with me in the realm of LARP.
Thursday was full of line fighting, a fun start to what turned out to be a pretty fun weekend. After paying a troll, also called Gate in Amtgard, I happened to meet Dwarf, the player running the event. He is a very affable character, and I wished him the best for this event. Later that night, there was a Sunset Beach social
I'm not just blind and I don't see it.
What I assumed was intended to be just a social gathering to visit and drink.
What? Or is it running right now?
A battlefield, and I couldn't have been happier.
It's running right now.
The area was a bit tight, and fighting on the street was no joke.
It's on the street.
We made it work and had fun in the process. Later that night, Gustav went to the main camp and watched the opening ceremonies before driving back to the rental to get some sleep. On Friday, there were a lot of tournaments. One thing I hadn't seen before was how they did the lines for the fighting pits. For each pit, they had a line of people, much like a standard bear pit, but rather than the first two in each line fighting, the one on each end of the line fought, continuing that till the line was gone and only one winner remained. Gustav and I took a break from the field and headed up to the main camp. There were a series of arts and science classes being run throughout the event. The particular one that caught Gustav in my eye was War Braids and Favors, history and how to make them, taught by Naga. The subject matter sounded very interesting. I learned a lot about the lore and role of players who play monsters at Belegarth. It's almost like a counterculture of its own. It was fascinating, and the tradition of taking ripped up strands of fabric and braiding them into a favorite to remember the event is one I hope to continue.
So I love that.
I wear it every weekend. The fighting field, but I want to come up to the camping area because this is where people hang out at night. And there is classes.
Fighting on a beach.
I've already gotten into. This is where we did the class. Over here, there's a quest board, which we'll go check out here in a minute. But yeah, this fits 50 people, I think. It's a pretty nice site. Quiet area. You can hear the road a little bit, but that's fine. But yeah, opening ceremonies was right here last night at the fire pit. Right there. So up in the main camping area, they have something that I've never heard of in Belegarth, a quest board. So yeah, Dwarf has put up some quests here. Let's see, there's a trial of friendship. Basically, find a fighter, meet him, and you get some gold. There's even a riddle. I'm not going to read the riddle, but I'll zoom in really close so you can read it if you want. There you go. Then there's a monster thing going on where you go find monster cards, and then you find the monster, and then you battle it out, and you get gold. And there's even a Highlander tournament.
something that we haven't done in Amtgard in the Northwest in a while. But basically, you're immortal. If you lose all your limbs, then you get your head cut off, and then the winner of that takes the ribbon of the loser. And at the end of the event, all the people that still have ribbons fight it out until there's only one left. Yeah, there is questing at Belegarth, in case you were wondering. It's the thing at the right place.
Later that afternoon, there was another unique tournament that they did. The Warriors of the Path, a single blue endurance tournament. It lasted for 45 minutes. For those of you from Amtgard, a blue weapon is about the length of an Amtgard short sword. For this tournament, everyone lined up in one big line. Everyone in the line fights the person next to them, starting with the two people in front. The winner of each fight advances in the line, finding the loser of the two people who fought in front of them. This continues for 45 minutes with people moving up and down the line. In theory, it has the effect of the players end up ranking themselves first to last by the place in line at the end of the tournament. I was impressed. Scory, a friend of mine from Amtgard, ended up in the number 1 spot for a good amount of time. On Saturday, there was the Friendship Tournament. It was teams of 2 fighting it out for supremacy. I think it was the team of Dwarf and Scory who came out on top. If I'm wrong, I'm at least sure that they made it into the last round. I would say that the crowning activity for Saturday was the realm battles. Each one of the parks, otherwise known as realms, who had members there, made up each side. There were several groups there, one as far away as Montana. As the teams were forming, everyone stopped to give a cheer to Dwarf. People really appreciated the hard work he had been doing. Then after pacts were made and agreements signed between the realms, 3 main teams emerged to fight in the Battle of the Realms. The first round was a fairly standard affair. The 2 main teams clashed in the middle, and those who survived fought the smaller third team. The second round was more interesting. The team on the left did this cool maneuver where they broke off, circled the oddball team, and tried to flank the team on the right. It looked pretty cool. The third was pretty similar to the first round, but rather than wait to engage the third team, a few elite fighters from the team on the left broke off and engaged them. They survived through the whole fight, keeping them engaged until the main force could back them up.
That was Trials of the Pacific Maine. I had a really fun time. I'm in here doing the outro in my Airbnb that we got because the site filled up too fast and we didn't get a chance to actually stay on the site because it filled up. That's amazing. It's a first time event. Full, and I'm glad that it seemed that it went so well. Sadly, I didn't get a chance to talk to Dwarf on camera because the one chance I thought that I could arrange it and I would have the ability to do it, he was down there at the field getting ready to play in the big battle. It was the first time I actually got to see him participate in the game in some way other than running it. So I decided that my video wasn't as
Dwarf here and very sweet
fun at his event. So I just decided not to do it. He did come and talk to me several times throughout the event though and made me feel very welcome. And he asked me some feedback for the event and I gave it to him and I didn't have anything very negative to say or any critiques of the negative variety. It was a good event and it was ran pretty well. I gave some suggestions to help him run a little bit more smoothly next time. I also offered to have a conversation with him about event running after the event if he wanted to message me because, well, I like helping people and if you were not aware, I have ran a couple events in my time and I like to share the knowledge. So hopefully they will have the time to take me up on that offer because I'd love to talk shop with another event runner. And hopefully they will be able to run it again next year and it'll just be bigger and better and it'll just grow over the years. It's great to have another Belegarth event in the Oregon-Washington area because I think the only one that exists in the Oregon and Washington area is Western Wars in May. So this is like kind of like the season closer, I think was the intention. So yeah, if you enjoyed the content, please like the video. It means a lot to me. And if you have anything you'd like to say, if you're at the event, what did you think about it? Comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts were. Also consider subscribing to my channel if you'd like to see more LARP content. I mostly do foam fighting videos if you didn't notice, but I also do these vlogs and I do some informational LARP content. So yeah, please subscribe to the channel and if you want to support me on Patreon, I do have a link in the description below.
I don't know how much of a delay you're watching it on. I just realized that you guys are watching at a different speed than me.
I'm a little bit of, like a minute behind.
So while they're watching it, while you are watching it, you'll hear me talk after it's done.
It's been great.
Is it done on the live stream?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't mention in that video because I did the outro at the end of the event, so I wasn't doing a Discord server at the time, but I do have a Discord server that I restarted a couple months ago. And if you want to join it, I will have a link in the video description tomorrow when I publish the video. I can't give you a link now because then I would close this window out and then you guys wouldn't be able to see me, see all my Discord. It's a mess. But if you want to get a hold of, if you're of Dwarf, my Discord has an event section that has his event listed in the Facebook information. So that is a place that you can go look for it if you need to find information about it. But it's not nearly as up to date as the Facebook page. That's why I linked the Facebook page.
Put a link in there for you for your Discord.
I don't see it.
Oh no.
Where'd it go?
Somewhere in the YouTube chat. It should be there.
Are you posting it in the Facebook event page by chance?
Just the YouTube chat.
Oh, okay. No, it never came up.
Weird.
Oh well.
I tried to help.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I would like to thank all my viewers for sticking with us through this stream. It's been I've been looking at the analytics, and it's one of the most watched ones I've had in quite a while. And I think part of that is the pull of Dwarf right there and his Belegarth crew. And I appreciate you for coming out and letting us ramble on.
Yeah. Thanks to everybody who supported. I know I got the link out there a little bit early. I was like really nervous. I was like, no, I don't want people to watch me. Then I was like, no, exactly. It's in 3 hours. Just like send it up. If people want to show up, they show up.
we want them to see it. It's fine.
Exactly.
That is the goal.
Gotta support. Gotta get watched. Gotta do the thing. Yeah, no, it's been a severe, huge pleasure to be on this show. Thank you, Baelnorn, for inviting me. Thank you, Runebeard, for allowing me in this space and to ramble on about Belegarth. And thank you, to anybody watching this in the future. I guess this is recorded and going to be put up at some point again.
In the morning, I will or maybe later tonight, the VOD will go live. So
cool. Yeah, no, exactly. So it's been awesome. Thank you, everyone who has been watching and watches in the future. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a real pleasure and it's been a real honor, to be a 2 and some change-year-old fighter and not really experienced in the foam fighting community and not even a part of Amtgard, and to be invited into an Amtgard space has been huge. I know Baelnorn's been in our Belegarth spaces a ton and has done so much content and so much outreach and everything else. He's doing really good work. I'm so ecstatic to be here. So thank you again.
I'm going to tag off of that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dwarf. I have zero interaction with Belegarth, and hearing you talk about it has been wonderful. I love hearing about the interactions. Super familiar to a lot of what goes on in Amtgard, and I love to hear that. It sounds like it is just another space filled with great people. So
Extremely.
thank you for, being here, doing the thing, talking about the things you love, and sharing what you want to do with everybody as well. And Baelnorn, thank you for involving me and giving me this opportunity to come ramble with people about all the fun things that we do with our life.
Yeah, well, thank you both for coming on and helping me fulfill content. I appreciate that. Streaming for 3 hours is hard without other people to talk with. I gave up on streaming on a weekly basis because of that. But hopefully I can find some ways to integrate more Belegarth content. I know it's hard because I'm not too deep in the community or anything like that. But I'd like to bridge the gap a little bit more and try to have conversations where I can have on both Amtgarders and Belegarth people to have a mutual conversation. So
amazing.
Look for more of that content in the future if I can figure out some creative way to make it happen.